Absolutely.
All right, so I always like to ask if anybody is in here already, what we look like, what we sound like, make sure we're all good before we get started here. We might have an ad or two to start. Hopefully people can skip those, but let's see here. All right, we look good on my end. So I'm going to get started. Ladies and gentlemen, hello. Welcome to our first Whiskey Verzuz. I have with us two gentlemen who are in the top 20 whiskey influencers that you want to be following on Instagram. We have that one dude, Ryan, coming in at 11.6 thousand followers on the top left of your screen. And then we have Hood Sommelier, aka Jack. Well, I guess it's Jack, aka Hood Sommelier, on the right side of your screen, coming in at 15.6 thousand followers on Instagram. Gentlemen, I appreciate you guys being here. This is going to be a lot of fun. Let me explain how this is going to work. We have 10 different categories that these guys have picked out a bottle in their collection for. They're going to follow each category. It is not strictly sticking to bourbon here. I know a lot of people who are with my community know a lot more about bourbon, so we're going to learn all about the whiskey world today, which is going to be exciting, not just for me, but for you guys as well. Got a couple people in chat already. Brandon, what's up? ZF, what's going on? Hopefully you guys have poured up something nice here. But before we get started, I'm going to let these guys introduce themselves. We'll start with Jack, Hood Sommelier. Introduce yourself. What's going on? How you doing tonight?
I'm doing well, brother. Thanks for having me. Jack Bigadoo, Hood Sommelier online. I love whiskey. Um, Teaching people about whiskey, and when every now and then I like to smoke a cigars, and by all means, food is my love language. Whiskey is just an addition. As you can see from my Instagram, I always like to do pairing, either cigar and whiskey, or if either it's African food and whiskey. That's what I do. But on a day to day basis, I like to teach people about my favorite, what I've learned, and kind of disturb the industry a little bit, and kind of teach people things that maybe are not so obvious to them. New, old, doesn't matter. I love newcomers, but new, old doesn't matter. We all are here to learn something new. That's me.
Beautiful. I like that a lot. And then we also have that one dude, Ryan, or Ryan himself. Introduce yourself. How you doing? And what are you sipping on tonight right now?
I am great. Hey, everybody. I'm Ryan, that one dude, Ryan. You could find me here, there, almost anywhere. But I'm a huge whiskey guy. Love whiskey, all whiskey, and kind of just like Jack, I love to do the tasting side, the educational side, the knowledge drops, and then every now and then we like to have a little bit of fun. So you can find me on Instagram just posting the most random stuff, but mainly about whiskey, bourbon, scotch, Irish. It doesn't matter. I also dabble a lot in the cigar world because of the fact that I'm right here in Tampa, which is cigar city of the nation. If I'm not doing that, I'm literally just hanging out with friends, with family, my wife, my two kids. They're fantastic, and we just go around doing whatever. Honestly, my wife and I just go hunting together. Truthfully, we go to the different liquor stores, and she's actually better at it than I am. So, but I actually just poured myself one of the selections that I picked for tonight. So I'll let you know which one it is when we get there.
All right.
How about you, Jack? What did you pour up so far?
I haven't poured anything because I thought we
Oh,
were starting pouring when we
okay.
start the verses, so I didn't even start.
Gotcha. I gotcha. Well, we can get right now started on that. That way we can make sure you pour something up. And we're starting it off easy. So again, this is going to be 10 different categories that these guys have chosen a bottle in their collection. Couple of rules. They have to have a bottle of it. It has to be under in each one of these categories. So we're going to go over the 10 categories here in a little as we go. And they cannot double up bottles. So they can't use a bottle that they've already picked before for another category. So not to be started on anything too easy, but we are starting on the under $25 category. And let me preface this by saying both of these guys chose Evan Williams Bottled and Bond. I made sure that we weren't having any doubles because that was a pretty obvious choice. So they had to go their second choice each. We're going to flip a coin here. I'm going to say heads is Jack, tails is going to be Ryan to see who goes first, and then we'll go back and forth from there. I don't know if you can even see that. It says heads, though. So heads, Jack, we're going to start with
Oh
you,
my
and then
God.
next round we'll go with Ryan. So our under $25 bottle, they're going to talk about the bottle for about a minute, and then we'll see, by popular demand, who gets to win each round.
$14.99 or $12.99, I believe this one is. Ancient age, 90 proof. A mash bill 2 of Buffalo Trace. And this is what Blanton looks like when it's not Blanton's yet. This is the younger version of Blanton's. And if you find ancient age, which usually is 10-year, that's the best juice of mash bill 2. But this right here is the beginning of any Blanton. I believe is only a 2-year-old straight bourbon. Nothing crazy about it. It's 45% ABV. It still have the old Jack Daniel's style bottle. It's just the beginning of every good straight Kentucky bourbon, and it's the mash bill too. So literally Blanton's, Emerty Lee, Rock Hill Farm. This is the beginning of all of them. So here you go. $12.99. That's what I bought it at.
Definitely a solid pick. We have a couple people in chat here, by the way, Ryan, that are begging for slams and sips as you do each one of your bottles here. They want you to slam that bottle each time. They're begging for it. I'm just here. Don't shoot the messenger, but hopefully we'll get a couple of slams from you in here. Already poured up. Sorry, guys. We'll get the next bottle to get slammed.
I'm not finished that one.
Ancient Age is definitely a good pick. I have not personally had the Ancient Age. I think I might have had a sample of it at one point, but I've never had a bottle of it. It's amazing how even that low-end bottle can still come off as so hard to find just because it has that Buffalo Trace and that name behind it. But definitely a good pick here. And then, Ryan, we're going to go with your bottle here. Under $25.
All right. So I really liked Evan Williams Bottled & Bond. So because of that, I went with something that used to be Brown-Forman and is now Sazerac.
I know which one that is.
Early Times Bottled & Bond. So I've got a couple of these bottles. This one's my upstairs one, so unfortunately it's not open. My downstairs one is. This right here I got for about $21.99 in Kentucky. All right. This is the Brown-Forman juice. This is, in my opinion, one of the cheaper, more relatable entry-level whiskeys that you could get out there today. It's wonderfully sweet and mapley. I mean, the color on it's absolutely amazing, even just sitting in the bottle. If you guys haven't had the opportunity to get something like this, it's going to make your day. Do not get this mixed up with its other one, with its standard brown label. It is nowhere close to that. So Early Times Bottled & Bond would be my under 25 bottle.
Now, my question for you is the old label versus the new label. One, do you think there's any difference? Two, are you saying that one's better than another?
So here's the fun part. I can't get that here. That's another reason. So I'm a huge proponent to the fact that labels will make you judge, right? Also, the fact that you can't receive it will make you judge it more higher. You'll make it higher essentially. So you'll say, I can't get this here, so it tastes better. I can't get it in Florida, but when I tried it, I had a sample of it in the Kentucky shop, and I had to get a couple bottles of it. The new stuff I'll probably never get here in Florida. So
definitely two great bottles for the first round here. I don't know if I could even decide myself which one would win. These are I think I've had a sample of the Ancient Age, but I've heard so many good things about it. Dave in the chat saying never had Ancient Age, but he just sold me on it. I've had an Ancient Age, and he is right. It's Blanton's. Never understood why we have Early Times in PA, but not Early Times Bottled & Bond. It's another one of those things with distribution where you do get the bottom shelf Early Times, but yet we can't get our hands on the Bottled & Bond. We have to go over to New Jersey to get it. So PA doesn't know whiskey as well as Tom Burns here says. But I don't know which one of these would win personally, so I'm just going to leave it up to chat here to debate on that. I'm going to put up a poll each round. Right now we have 100% leaning towards Early Times Bottled & Bond. So
okay,
it's definitely going to be a good one here when it comes to that one. But as we moved in, and Jack came in here a little bit early and we were discussing, and he was deciding how bad he wanted to beat Ryan tonight. So it's gonna be interesting how we move through the rest of this battle here. But
I have to just put a disclaimer for everyone. don't like flexing bottles. I have bottles that I can't flex. When it comes to camaraderie, it may be the repressed African in me, but since I was a kid, they always said you cannot flex on your friends, right? Because those are your friends, right? You can flex on outsider because they don't know you. So when I'm amongst friends, it's hard for me to go, look what I got. It's like, no, don't do that. So
I'd like to
I'm
change one of
being
my answers.
very, very coy.
Which I think Ryan appreciates, but also part of the battle here is to show off everything that you have. So definitely bring out the good stuff, and maybe at the end you can show off a few bottles that you didn't put into one of these
Yes,
categories. So
yes, that I would do. That I will
beautiful.
show you the literally what was the alternative, and I'm like, no, this for flexing. Let me bring the one.
Whiskey Straight Al says Bourbon of the Week. Hi, Chris and guests. Cheers from Northern Ireland. What's going on, Al? Nice of you to join us from Northern Ireland. Probably have some. We have some Irish whiskeys in here tonight. Maybe.
Maybe, yeah.
Jay Patterson, hey y'all, Ireland, that's awesome. Absolutely. Early Times wins, but the benchmark beats both. Benchmark Bottled and Bond, they're saying, would be a good under 25 pick. I don't disagree. I've only had the benchmark foolproof myself. It's only a flex if you don't share. That is true as well. And never had either. That's, yeah, PA is definitely a tough one on this one. But that's round one, under 25. Again, you guys can let me know in the chat what you guys think won that particular round. But we're going to move into round number 2. And again, let me remind you that you cannot reuse bottles. So this is actually going to be a bottled and bond category. So we already used Early Times bottled and bond, but there's no price tag on this one. So it can be any bottle that is a bottled and bond. So we're going to go with, I believe now it's Ryan's turn to start round 2.
Well, if I have to.
Absolutely.
I'm not muted, right? Okay. If I have to. I'm going to go with one of my favorite bottled and bonds. All right. I actually don't have opened, and I didn't want to flex. So I don't have it open. It's technically not even mine, but it's the same distillery that I picked. And I think it might be one of Jack's favorite distilleries because he was just there doing a wonderful job on his Afrofusion. Heaven Hill Bottled and Bond. Now, the reason why I like Heaven Hill Bottled and Bond was because the 6-year was so good. The 7-year adds a little bit more of that traditional Heaven Hill musk to it. And for some reason, you're going to find out tonight, especially. My tasting notes, I tend to go through the things that are a little bit more unique. I don't like the traditional sense of bourbon, you know, the cherry, the caramel, the creaminess of it all. This gives you that hint of musk that I just gravitate towards. Not only that, but let's be honest, Heaven Hill makes some great stuff. So Heaven Hill Bottle and Bond 7-year. I know it's divisive, but I think you'll all enjoy it very much. And it's only like $50, $45, $50.
It's not too bad for a price either.
Absolutely.
I'm going to pour up some of this Early Times. The way you were talking about it last round, it made me want to pour up a little bit of Early Times.
Oh, good thing I really didn't want to flex.
So we have Heaven Hill Bottled and Bond. I just had a bottle of that. I went to again, something that we don't get here in Pennsylvania. I went to a bachelor party in New York, and it was sitting on the shelf, I believe, at that $50 price tag. And I was like, let's pick one of these up and see what it's all about. It was my first time trying it, and let's just say it didn't make it back home. So that bottle got finished that weekend.
Oh, yeah.
But now we're on to Jack, who is rubbing his hands together, waiting to pull out his Bottled and Bond here. Let's see what he's got.
You're gonna stay in kind of the same, the same distillery. It seems like that distillery is amazing at making bottle and bonds. Obviously, their brand ambassador that was at my event is Mr. Bottle and Bond himself, the whiskey professor Bernie Lubbers. So it makes sense that they have more bottle and bonds than any distillery in Kentucky. If you go through their repertoire of things, I have to go with the bottle that won 2018 Bourbon of the Year, Henry McKenna.
The Henry McKenna.
Alternative was way more expensive, but this Henry McKenna was when I say I wanted to be nice to Ryan, I pull out this Henry McKenna. As you can see, when I found out that I can't have it anymore, I'm slowly nursing it. One bottle is gone, this one is open, and there's a backup. Henry McKenna is a 10-year-old whiskey. I'll say is the original, not only bottle and bond, but single barrel. That's what makes Henry McKenna special. Bottle and bond, and also single barrel, which means if you travel around the U.S. looking for Henry McKenna, you may actually find some fantastic barrels that are like out of this world. You can find they don't make them like this anymore. That's the best way to put it. Single barrel and bottle and bond, and it used to be very affordable, $32.99. I bought mine, $32.99. But now, I think the last time somebody wanted me to give them $90 for a Henry McKenna, $90 or $95. It's probably, in my opinion, the best bottle and bond single barrel out on the market. The price, obviously.
They're asking for, I think they're up to $70 here now in Pennsylvania. And not too long ago, they were $45, $50 all day sitting on the shelf. And now they're $70 online, and people are starting to be like, that's starting to push it. But I agree. Henry McKenna was sat on top of my list for a long time as one of my favorite whiskeys altogether, let alone bottled and bond whiskeys. So absolutely agree that that's a great whiskey.
I love the fact that he brought out the other most divisive bottled and bond out of Heaven Hill, because that's a risk right there. Like, some people are like, Heaven Hill is good, I like Heaven Hill. There are people that violently hate Henry McKenna, and it's because they've had just one bad bottle. And just like Jack said, no matter what, you could get another bottle with a different barrel, and that Henry McKenna will be much better.
I've had same thing as Jack. I've had 2, maybe 3 bottles, and each time I've had it, they've definitely been a different experience, but I haven't had a bad experience with one yet. I do know people, and we have people in our chat right now saying the last McKenna I had was awful, not paying $70 for it, which, again, going back to that single barrel, completely understandable, but at the same time, I don't think you can knock off the whole Henry McKenna brand just because Henry McKenna, just because of the one experience.
For example, is like cherry underline, a cherry lime candy. It's almost citrusy. I realized that in 2018 into 19, Rick House, where these barrels were coming from, were so special. What happened is that in 19, after it was Bourbon of the Year, they had to move a little bit in the Rick House because production just ramped up. So it does affect the barrel. Yes, they're older, but you have to go in a certain corner of the Rick House to find new barrels, which now may throw off the profile of what people are used to. We kind of have to be fair. Well, that's why I tell people all the time, when it comes to single barrels are like underwear. No one underwear fit the same. That's all I tell people. It's as simple as that. So you choose one today is great. You choose another one, you end up chafed. That is what it is.
I feel like we just saw wisdom from Africa.
I was gonna say, I hope we have a few of those lined up tonight, at least to end the night. Maybe start thinking of them as we're going here. But yeah, I mean, again, I'm at the point where I think $70 is probably the top of my line on what I would pay for the Henry McKenna, because I think it's starting to get up there. But hopefully, as production and because things like that, and as you guys both know, you can see how the way the industry is going at this point, that all it takes is one good review or one person with enough of a following to put their name behind it to really make one of these things blow up and start to raise the value of it.
Oh yeah.
Also, Jack, we're getting a lot of love for your glass right there. What kind of glass is that?
This is the professional glass.
Wonders of Whiskey.
The Wonders of Whiskey. Wonders of Whiskey makes these glasses. I love when I'm having anything that is low proof or bottle and bond, I use this. But if I'm having cast strength, I'll move to a bigger glass because the way the aroma works, especially when something is low proof, this top helps me really get the notes that I need.
That is by far, for anybody watching, taking notes at home, that I'm not over there. You're this way or this way. I can't remember. That is one of the best glasses to just do basic tasting with. The aromas that come off that glass are absolutely amazing. And that's why
Thank you.
a lot of blenders in Scotland tend to use something similar to that.
Mm.
I didn't grab mine. I'm just using Whiskey Wisdom.
How many stems have you broke? How many glasses have been broken? Any? I feel like I would break one of
I
those
don't.
glasses.
I don't. I like. So funny thing is, I was one of the first people that bought from him at the beginning of the pandemic back in 2019 when he was launching immediately. I saw it online. I'm like, shit, I want this. Funny thing is, the first time he ever shipped to me, for some reason, I was about to pull it out and the stem broke. So he also told him that time that as the maker, there was a default right in the middle, like right here. There was a default, so which he corrected. And he literally sent me this style of glass, send me this style of glass that he have, and then resend me this one once they corrected it.
Good man. We have Odin in here basically saying the same thing, that they make great glassware, and that's a great glass for the lower proof stuff, so you can really get a good nose off of it. Old Humble Distilling Company, cheers to the panel and cheers to the chat. How are you doing tonight? Welcome. And then we have Bourbon Jeeper, who is ready to take on the winner of this, he says. Now, again, there's no real definitive winner or loser here.
Hey, somebody, you know what? We are not going to do this Gen Z bullshit and just let people in. Somebody's going home a loser. It's not a game till someone is crying.
That's it. Now, somebody asked earlier, I forget who it was. Let me scroll up a little bit here. But they said, do you guys, Chrissy Mills says, I wonder if they had the same backup for this particular bottle. So if you couldn't pick Heaven Hill Bottled and Bond, and I'm going to go with Jack here first because he did tell me what his backup was going to be before Ryan wants to tell me what his backup was going to be. But no offense, Ryan, but Jack, if you want to tell people what your backup bottle on Bottled and Bond was, feel free.
So my bottle, the first one I was about to pull out was the Wild Turkey 17 Bottled and Bond. My all-time favorite Bottled and Bond. For me, there's no Bottled and Bond that can stand to that bottle. 17 years is the right prime age. It hits. Let me put it this way. If you listen to classic music, there's a place called a crescendo where the notes start beaten up right all the way to the top of the crescendo and just give you this goosebumps. And that is the Wild Turkey 17 Bottled and Bond for me. It hits that crescendo note when you have it. It's like pum para pum pum para pum pum para pum pum para pum all the way to boom on the top. So
Agree. Something
Nice.
I'll probably never experience because I will never get my hands on that particular bottle, but I hope
it's the
someday
only
I
bottle.
do. It's
Only bottle that I allegedly have pushed an old lady for. Allegedly. Allegedly. Again, I'm saying allegedly because they may be looking for me in Wisconsin. Allegedly. I had it the week before I went to Wisconsin Dells. It was so good. Went to Wisconsin Dell. We were in a resort. And at that time, I told my fiance, I said, hey, can we let's go see what the Dell look like. Let's get out of this resort. And we see a Total Wine. Walk into the Total Wine. And I see this box. It was like 11 o'clock at Total Wine. So no one was there. Just two old ladies. And it was this box in there. I saw these blue things. And I'm like, I wonder what that is. I walked in and it's there. So there's this girl that come to the counter. And I'm like, I'm gonna buy that. It's like, oh yeah, let me help you. So this old lady walked to me and she goes, oh yeah, I'm here for this. So she was getting close to me. Allegedly, something happened. And she kind of stumbled and fell. And I did pick her up. I said, I was standing here. You can just wait till I'm done. So the lady goes, how many do you want? It was 6 in a box. So I'll take 2. She scanned the first one. By the time she's scanning the second one, I could hear from the corner of my eyes a manager run and say, no!
one per.
And
As
she
usual.
She stops and she already scanned it, so she stopped. And she's taking my card, and the manager runs to me. He's like, "Oh," he's like, hey, we just brought this in. It's one per customer." She was like, I think that was her first week. She had no idea. And I look at the manager. I say, "She already scanned it. I'm paying right now."
Card's already inserted. See you later.
The white.
Meanwhile, old lady is checking her brews. And I take my 2 bottles and I'm walking away. She goes, "I really don't know what happened. I just stumbled and fell." I say, "Oh, are you okay?" And she said, "Yes." And I walked away. And she walked to the counter and she goes, "Can I have 2?" I can hear her say, "Can I have 2?" And they go, "No, it's only 1 per person. And we should have even sold this. It's for the reserve members first." I'm like,
Gotta go. Gotta go.
Right.
So Ryan, your backup bottle on Bottled and Bond.
So the backup that I had written down for the story, because I absolutely love the fact I'm a huge proponent for craft distilleries. I think you'll see a few of them tonight. Not all of them are, but some of them are. And one of my one of my most favorites, I actually have a barrel select coming out from them soon, and it's right here. So the Sagamore Bottled and Bond is a Maryland rye whiskey produced in Maryland. So it's the first ever. They're a distillery that's only been around for about 5 years. This bottle here is their first batch, so it's 1A. And I love the history and the story about the brand itself, how it was something produced off of Sagamore Farm, where they were doing thoroughbred horses straight for the fact that they wanted to keep the Preakness in Maryland, in Baltimore, in the area. And then, things didn't work out with the farm itself. So they were all sitting at this. If you've ever been, by the way, to Sagamore Farm, they have this fire pit right in front of the farmhouse. And they're sitting there, they're drinking, they're enjoying the evening. They're like, what are we going to do with this farm? And somebody said, well, we could turn it into like a vineyard, like a winery. And they're like, yeah, we're not really wine people. We're more whiskey people. And that's when the light went off, or the light went on. I guess that would be the way to say it. And they decided to make Sagamore Spirit Rye. So that's one of the bottles I really like. That's not the Flex, but that's the one that I had second. The Flex is, like I said, it's not my bottle. It's my son's bottle, and it is a 16-year from Heaven Hill, Old Fitzgerald.
Old Fitch, yeah, I have the 8-year. I haven't had the 16-year. I've heard great things about it though. A lot of love though for Sagamore in the chat. Sagamore bottle, great bottle.
I just realized the 17-year also.
I thought you were going to pull the 17.
No.
This is what I thought Jack was going to do. You ready? Jack was going to go like this. Look, I said I wasn't going to flex or anything, but like this bottle here is probably.
This is why I can't flex, because I don't know how to. I have all my fits from 8 all the way to 17 sitting there, and I don't.
That's how you flex, Jack. That's how you do it right there.
That's how you
all
flex.
All of my old fits from 8 to 17.
Okay, that's how you do it. Okay, I learned now.
We'll pick it up on the next few rounds here, I'm sure.
Oh yeah, it's so this is actually quite fun to learn why we're picking what we're picking too.
It's very interesting to hear the stories behind each one and why you want to go with that. Right now, Heaven Hill Bottled and Bond and Henry McKenna are sitting 50-50 on the chat right now. So
come on, guys.
We need one more vote on this. Somebody else needs to vote on this to make it something else. So I'll leave it up there while we go on to our next round here. Round number 3 though is going to be a finished whiskey. Now this could be, again, any whiskey, does not have to be a bourbon. We've stuck with bourbon so far, but I think this is where at least one of us is going to change it up, perhaps. So
because I didn't know till this minute that we weren't just doing bourbon.
He had a whole bourbon list ready for us, but we're on Jack here first. So Jack, it's up to you.
You know what? Bourbon Jeeper will be proud of me right now, because I'm going with the whiskey that has impressed me this year. Penelope Architect.
Oh, you can't see it.
Which is bourbon finish in French oak state.
And I believe you went with the first build, correct?
I have the first
3 of
build
them
here.
are out.
Yeah. So I have the first build here. I've tried this in multiple places, so I never even opened my own. But today I'm opening my own of the first build. Under than I would tell you that I go out with any whiskey. I have 291 distillery, which finished in absinthe stave and whatnot. But this whiskey impressed me this year, and Penelope Architect for me is probably the best thing beside the rye, the best bourbon, the best finished bourbon of 2022 for me. It's right here. Definitely the best finished bourbon out there right now, in my opinion. So there you
For
go.
the price.
The price too. Most affordable as hell.
Right?
I like a lot of what Penelope has done. Their barrel strengths are fantastic. I'm not the biggest toasted man myself, but I have like a heavy char number 5 toast. That was decent for me, but I think they have a bunch of different toasted. I think if I got a little bit lower on that toasted scale, I would really enjoy that as well. But Penelope is doing some big things. And something I noticed today, they switched their Instagram color to blue right before they dropped the Architect series. And I went on there yesterday, I believe, and it's orange now. So I don't know if that means something new's coming out, but Jack's shaking his head over there.
Yeah,
Ryan's looking away. I'm just connecting the dots. I'm connecting some dots.
There's something new coming.
Something new coming from Penelope.
Before the Tokai, it was great.
Somebody just mentioned the Tokai.
Yeah, the Tokai is if Jesus had to piss on my head, I'm assuming it's gonna taste like the Tokai. It's the best golden shower juice I ever had in my life.
You've heard it here first, folks. If Jesus pissed on his head, that would be Tokai Penelope.
I'm sorry, what?
But what I'm trying to say here is that people that love rye, I tell people it's easy to fuck up rye. A finished rye is so easy to just fuck up. But thank God, Danny and the team that work with Danny on his finishes, because that guy, I know why he's blender of the year. 2022 blender of the year is Danny. Man knows what in the hell he's doing. And that Tokai is another whiskey I guarantee I'll push an old lady for. Allegedly.
Allegedly. Let's make sure that's put out there.
Push an old man for that one, but that's a different story.
So
Or let me say this. I wish I would have pushed an old man, and we know that old man. Anthony Bourbon Badass was actually in Tampa for the Tokai Rye drop
release,
and he took the last bottle of the cash strength. So I ended up with the 107, which I think is better anyway.
I feel like that's a win-win no matter what you ended up with there. There we go, Ryan. It's on you. And again, we're moving into something a little bit different here. So this is, again, finished whiskey. This is the Penelope Architect Build 1 versus... What do you have, Ryan?
Lagavulin 11, the Offerman Edition Guinness finish. Let me... This mofo right here. What was this? Whiskey of the Year 2021.
2021, yeah.
This, my friend, made the Offerman 11 year from 2019 look bad. And which isn't easy to do because that is a good 11-year scotch. This is an Islay scotch that just finishes so unbelievably creamy. It's almost, and I say almost, it's almost unmistakable when you have it. It's a delicious single malt. I would say everybody should try to find it. Good luck, sorry. But I absolutely love this. Not only that, but let's be honest, Nick Offerman, I mean, Parks and Rec. I love the dude. So I'm going to pour myself some of this.
Our first non-bourbon that we've come across today. I have not quite moved myself into the Scotch world. I think there's a lot to learn once you move there. And I also think it's one of the whiskeys that, at least from the little bit I've tried outside of bourbons and ryes and that realm, that is one of the harder ones to try to acclimate yourself to, and I don't know if that's true or not. But when I love bourbon, I think like I can move into Irish and I can move into a few other types of whiskey, Canadians and everything like that. But once you move into Scotch, I feel like it's just a whole different tasting experience that you got to kind of acclimate to.
Yeah. And look, if you're going to ask anybody about coming from bourbon into Scotch, I think you have some pretty knowledgeable dudes in here right now.
Absolutely.
One of them does a literal Scotch school, and I'll tell you, it's not me. If you're going to do that, maybe not going to an Isla Scotch. You definitely don't want to look at a Lagavulin, even though it's lighter on the Isla side, or lighter on the peated side. You're still going to get that brininess, that smokiness on it. But there are scotches to bring you over from bourbon, from rye, from American whiskeys, or even Canadian whiskeys over to a nice, sweet and dry Scotch. So
Jeeper says the Offerman is, hold on, let me scroll back up for this. This made me laugh. The Offerman is like the best girlfriend you can have, but also can't afford.
Mm-hmm.
No, it's up there now. When I bought this bottle,
expensive now.
Yeah, when I bought this bottle, it kind of first came out.
69.
It was around the $99 price range.
Oh, it was 60. It was 69 plus tax, and I did a live about it. Like I literally did a live about the bottle, and literally 2 days later, I go to the same store, and it's like, dude, it's 99 now.
Yeah,
like the fuck is like, yeah, I literally put your video, attach your video in the special, and he sold out. Like, tank asshole.
You and I have to talk about that too, by the way.
What did I
liquor
do?
store owners using us?
Yes.
Yeah, now it's like $200 if you find it. $200.
More people call it out for some slams here, Ryan. So you might have to slam up. Once that glass is done, you might have to slam a bottle or two for us. The people want it.
Here's the problem: is I can see myself. So like, that's
true. So you can see the pour now. You can see the pour. I think they just want you to. I just think they want you to mess up your table a little bit more. Probably blow our speakers out. Brandon says probably.
Air. I slammed the glass.
It's Bourbon Jeeper asking for that.
Of course, Matt, it is.
A lot of love for the Penelope Architect in here right now. 80% going to the Penelope Architect build 1. Now, I will say,
I even voted for it. Okay.
You also have a lot of my community is big on the. So once we move into some of these that aren't bourbon versus Isla Scotches here, we might have a little bit closer. But yeah, I agree. Penelope Architect is just a fantastic drink, and I compared the build 1 to build 2. I personally liked the build 1 better. Now I have a build 3 coming that I should have my hands on tomorrow. I'm curious how that compares to the other two. I just think the build 1 gave me a little bit more of the sweetness that I like when I found it in the bourbon, and build 2 gave me a little bit more spice. So I'm interested to see how they keep going with that. And again, look away from the camera, you two. I'm excited to see what that orange Penelope Instagram color means, because I think something new is coming out from them. But you guys know nothing about that. Couldn't it be? No. People are calling for you to dance now, Ryan. I don't know. It's early in the night here, Bourbon Jeeper. I don't think anybody's dancing quite yet.
Matt just wants to humiliate me in all the great possible ways he can possibly think of it.
Chrissy's calling. It's saying Scotch is not winning with this audience. I think there's definitely some Scotch people in here for sure. I know Odin likes to mix things up. My brother-in-law Dave's in here. He likes to mix things up as well. So people are already saying build 3 is amazing, which is crazy that people already have their hands on it. Build 3 off the charts. Build 3 is amazing. Did not disappoint. So again, I'm interested to see how that compares to the first two, but we'll see here. Up next, we're gonna move along because I'm just gonna give it to Penelope on that one. It seems like not even a close one there with the 80%. We're gonna move on to rye here. This is a rye whiskey, so no confusion about it if this could be a bourbon or what this could be. This is a 100%, not 100% rye, but a rye whiskey, meaning at least 51% rye. And I believe, Jack, we're starting with you on this round. Is that correct? I forget where we're at.
No, I did the Penelope.
You did the Penelope. So now we're on to Ryan. Me. Ryan, we're on to you this round.
So this was actually a last-minute switch for me right before we did this because I wavered my number 1 and number 2, and I just couldn't get by my number 2 overtaking my number 1. So my number
I
one.
really will be curious to see what you switch for what.
We'll have to talk
So
about
I'll
that.
show you what I actually am picking.
Mhm.
And it's going to be what actually one of my favorite rye whiskeys from one of my favorite rye whiskey companies, if you already know what that is. This is their cognac finish Sagamore Spirit. This is one of the things and reasons why I love Sagamore so much. Okay, so again, it is considered a craft distillery. They are contract distilling MGP rye whiskey, blending their 95.5 and their other mash bill. I think it's like a 56%. This right here then gets finished in cognac casks.
You're cheating right now. We
Unbelievable.
need rye. We don't want it finished. We need a real rye. Give us
If you want a real rye, okay, let me give you what my second one was. Is actually out of left field too.
Okay.
Old Proturo.
Okay. Okay.
So this is from San Francisco. This is a California rye whiskey, straight rye whiskey.
Yep.
And the reasoning behind this is, again, that dark muskiness. This, surprisingly enough, is great whether you are drinking it neat, whether you are adding ice, whether you add a little bit of water, or we just found out the other day, makes one hell of an old fashioned. However, if you don't have this, so good. Matter of fact, I'm pouring this now.
There we go. Jack called you out, said you wanted a real rye. The man had a finished rye.
This category is rye, so I'm expecting 95.5, nothing finished, just straight up rye. Let's bring the heat.
Oh, now I'm actually interested to see what Jack has.
Here we go.
Okay. Not bad.
If there's something I always say that Dixon Edmond did right, is every single batch of these Kentucky Owl rye. For me, this Kentucky Owl rye is totally the bit. Like my option 2 was the Jack Daniel Earl Strength rye. That was my first option before I realized I had to be humble.
The Jack Daniels is that a single barrel?
Owl rye.
For his humbleness.
Yeah. So this was option 1 originally. That's what it was.
So good.
Option 1.
So good.
Then I said
if I actually had a bottle of that, it would be my number 1 too.
I said I want to be humble, so I went for the Kentucky Owl, 100% one of my favorite ryes ever. This bottle is the reason why I fell in love with rye. For me, this to represent what a good rye should taste like. So,
now my question for you, I've only had one experience with the Kentucky Owl that confiscated.
No, the worst.
Okay. Not only thank you. I just wanted to make sure I wasn't out of it.
It's the worst thing ever from Kentucky Owl. Is 100%. I don't say this a lot about a bourbon or whiskey, but I will tell you right now. If somebody say, what is confiscated? I'll say a drain pour.
I'm struggling to finish it. I'll tell you that.
You'll never like do yourself and your soul a favor. Don't drink it.
Now here's the question, and you can tell me as much information as you may or may not know, but Kentucky Owl is at least the confiscated, is very limited on information about it. So you can talk about the rye or you could talk about the distillery in general, but what do we know about that particular bottle? Because it bothers me, especially in this day of age, when I feel like being more transparent is what people are looking for, because they want to know what they're drinking. They want to know who's distilling it. Even if it's sourced, I feel like we're at a point now with companies like Penelope and companies like Smoke Wagon and company like Sagamore, who's coming out with great sourced whiskey. And, you know, before it was, oh, it's just another MGP product. And now it's, well, it's not just another MGP product. There are people doing amazing things with MGP products. So Kentucky Owl bothered me because the price tag and not telling you anything about it. And it
That
just
was
made
the ripoff. The ripoff of 2019 was the confiscated. Let's just say if you take shit whiskey and you don't know what to do with it, you give it a retarded and stupid name. You turn around and you say, you know what? Let's put it out there and hope somebody that can never get their hands on any of our good and premium product actually say, oh, I'm lucky. You realize there's one place that you see a lot of confiscated. There's one store where you see a lot of confiscated because that's the only store that can buy a shitload of it and put it out for people to come get it. It's Costco. Go to Costco, there's a shitload of confiscated sitting on Costco because no one wants it. A lot of store owners that understand whiskey and whatnot don't want to buy that because everybody that comes is talking smack about it. You go to Costco, they're sitting out there. It's like a Garrett of, I believe it's everything that Kentucky Owl that had as shit barrel. They just blend it together and just put it out there and say, bless it. Jesus bless it. We'll see what happens. It's the worst thing out of Kentucky Owl, period.
They were like, you know what, we're going to try to put out a lower priced unit so that we can get people into the higher priced unit. And then they were like, we should just release Wise Man because it's better.
I don't even know if it's, I wouldn't personally consider it lower priced. I don't know what it goes for here in Pennsylvania anymore, but it's
compared to regular
right
Kentucky
compared to
Owl.
yeah. And then they put out what, the St. Patrick's Day release as well, which I didn't get my hands on, but
that's it. That's sitting at every Sam's Club or Costco as well.
Yep.
Yo,
They put it, we got it here in Pennsylvania after St. Patrick's Day. So it would have been nice, you know, maybe people would have picked it up, and then it was like a month and a half later it hit the shelves. So everybody it's probably still sitting there if I had to guess.
I will tell you what happened with next week. I'm hoping to actually sit and have a conversation with Dixon. He's gonna come here to Omaha. What happened when Dixon left, and the new guy came in, is that every time there is a change in management, power, or anything, or dynamic, every master blender or distiller have their own style. It's like you almost got to do something to kind of prove yourself and show the world that you're cool. In the interim, in the between, there is always some fuckery happening. And the between is that St. Patrick's Day. It's like we have barrels sitting here. We still got to make money. Let's put out this thing that we may age in some Irish cask and put it out there. But I'm hoping that next year, as we get into this guy establishing himself, we're going to see his style of what he's bringing to Kentucky Owl.
It'll be good to hear. Or that'll be good to see, honestly.
So there's my brother-in-law says 125 in Pennsylvania for the confiscated, which again is just outrageous if you ask me. I bought a bottle at it. I'm sure they are. And then the one thing about Pennsylvania, you guys may or may not know, is it's state run. Nothing can be sold outside of fine wine and good spirits. So you mentioned Costco having it sitting on the shelves. I wish I could walk into a Costco and find liquor, because I've seen people pick up some pretty good bottles at some pretty good prices at other Costcos. Now, I don't think, it's not out of the realm of like a typical fine wine and good spirits, but again, just having that competition across the board. And we can argue whether state run is better because we're supposedly supposed to get things at MSRP, which not every time we do. I think Elijah Craig 18 year runs $200 over here, which MSRP last time I checked was 130, I believe, on the 18 year.
Yeah, 119 is the MSRP.
119, and yeah, they're selling it for 200, and it sits in a shelf
139. Here. 139 is what most stores will sell it here. And even then, I was actually losing my mind when I bought my last 18 a year and a half ago. A year and a half ago is when I bought my last 18. It wasn't a raffle. And even at 139, I was bitching about it. I'm like, seriously? 139? Because 2 years before that, I was buying them at $99. Yeah. Like $99. Yeah.
At MSRP, I'm not buying it.
200
only
and people look for it. People line up for it, and people
Oh
look for
yeah,
it. So,
somebody offered me 250 for it. It's like, oh, 250 shipped, and I'm like, nah, I'm good.
yeah, I'm good on it. My brother-in-law picked up. He called me the other day. He said Jack Daniel's single barrel proof rye in the store, and he picked me up a mini bottle, but it's not barrel proof. It's just the
Oh, that's
original
the
Jack
regular
Daniel.
one. That's not the
That's the
barrel proof.
regular one. I know he
Yeah,
messed up. I got a little pissed at him, but it was $27, so I wasn't
green
too
one.
mad. The green label.
The only
See?
thing that can
Dave,
compete
take
with
notes.
that, the only one that can compete with that would be the Old Forester single barrel proofs.
Yes.
That rye from them is unbelievable.
Oh, the rye version.
The
Gotcha.
rye. I was about to say, bourbon of the Old Forester barrel proof. I don't know. I want to apologize to anybody that like it, and believe me, my tagline is "The truth is barrel proof," and I fucking hate it.
I have a
I have 4 different kind of those barrel pick.
What's your proofs?
The highest proof for me was 143. Was the highest proof. The lowest proof is 134. And I'm telling you right now, I never actually said this, but it's like disgustingly hot for no reason. It's like when you have the whiskey, you're like, why? Why are you this hot? There's no need for you to be this stupidly hot. Let me have.
It just looks at you. It's like, thank you.
Let me have some rice with some hot sauce and at least enjoy chewing on some shit. I'll feel better than this hot ass lava that you put in my mouth calling it bourbon.
I was very excited to get my single barrel, and it just mine's only 124 proof, which I didn't even know it went that low. I was expecting that. It's still hot, and I'm with a 1920 out there. I think I'd rather have a 1920 than the single barrel personally myself all day of the week. Available, I don't have to go searching for it, and the price point's right there. So I'm a big fan of Old Forester myself.
Does anything wrong? I don't think they do one thing wrong, but we also haven't gotten the mesquite yet. So, yeah, I think that's where Wild Turkey messes up every single time. Everything is good from them except for Long Branch.
What about Matt? You got to take Matthew McConaughey into it. You know that man's doing hard work over there for that Long Branch.
You know what?
All right.
I'll tell you right now. Out of all the people that I respect, as far as celebrity whiskey out there, is the only person that I truly 100% respect. That I went out of my way. I don't have a bottle here because I don't buy celebrity bottles. If I buy it, it's very ironic because I'm gonna talk about it and actually probably shit on it already. I come to every celebrity bottle with a lot of pessimism, all the hate and violence I can choose when it comes to celebrity bottles. But, naturally, I do not believe anybody truly, and I had to go and listen to the story of how the Beams put them to the test. So they will send them before Long Branch came out. They will send them stuff that were not Wild Turkey. They will send them they would trick him and just send him samples, and he always land on Turkey. So that's how they chose the Long Branches because they sent him multiple stuff to actually trick him all the time to kind of choose what he want. At the end of the day, he always would land on Turkey, and they finally, were like, okay, this guy is very legit. He knows what he's talking about. He knows his bourbon, right? And that's my problem. There's a reason why every single celebrity out there will go for a tequila. The reason why is because they really don't have to try.
Yeah.
They really don't have to try. There's a lot of agave farms there that need to sell their agave and make sure that they actually produce something. Which somewhere I even see it as insulting to those regions because you have the money, you can actually you can help those people by buying a lot of their stocks, so you can just make it your own. So when it comes to bourbon, a celebrity want to get into bourbon, perfect example, Ryan. And talk, you did your slam today about the brothers in Bond or something. I still call bullshit on that drink. I still call bullshit on it because I heard them talk about their cask strength release, right? I heard them like talking about the cask strength release, and they were talking as if they knew what cask strength is. Right? And the words they were using, looking at them, you can actually see they practice this. Tell people. Myself, I just stood there and I'm like, I hate to tell you this, guys. This is not your realm. Keep acting. You're pretty boys, keep acting, you good. All the fan people would jump in and help you out, sell some of your product. But if you're really about this shit, if 60% or more of the bourbon community does not jump in to actually go, let me try this bottle. Perfect example, Ryan, that bottle will be now for 2 years now. Today was the day you're like, fuck it. Y'all keep mentioning it. Let me go see what the fuck this is about. No one is walking on the shelf and go, oh, Vampire Diary, I'm so wet. Let me grab a bottle. That doesn't happen. That doesn't happen. That just doesn't happen.
Oh, you should have seen Kentucky today. So Liquor Barn in Kentucky, they were doing a signing. There was a line around the block. All right. And not only that, but half of the people in the line were like teenage girls.
Yep.
So that speaks to the whiskey itself. I mean, is it good? For $40, I'll buy more. I'll buy something else. I'll buy more than something else.
Before, I'll buy 2 bottles.
Let me grab like half of these whiskeys we're talking about today. But yeah.
Shall we move on
What's
to the
the
next
category?
Shall we move on to the next category? I love this in between stuff. I absolutely love this. I'll tell you what. Next up, though, category number 5, we have an interesting one for me because I'm curious. I already know the answers, but I think these two are going to go up well against each other. Is barrel strength or cask strength? Now, this is a very interesting one because the two that you picked, if you kept them going into this round, I think are going to be very close, especially for this chat right here. So we're back to you now, Ryan, or am I still messing this up? Am I off again? Now we're up to Jack. See, I'm off one right now. You're this way.
No. What did I do? I did the Penelope. And
you did the Penelope, and then he did the Opataro, or the
Okay. You know what?
the Sagamore.
Because this bottle is very important to me. Because Matt is in the chat, it's where I knew I will have a friend for life. I looked for this bottle and I found one and I really just loved it. And for some reason I couldn't find it anywhere else. And this British guy that actually usually cannot pronounce Alabama, you always say Alabama
or Tamper
or Temper. Is Temper or Alabama? Asked me my address like months. And on Christmas Day, knowing the family I grew up in, Christmas is never a happy time for me. I will make it happy for my daughter. Myself is never a happy time. And this person, I get a knock on UPS Christmas Day. And open the door and I get this box and I'm like, who is this Matt Ward? Who the hell is that? And I open the box and I see this bottle. Victor's Barrel Strength Rye. I was like, wow. Somebody got me something I actually wanted for Christmas. And that doesn't happen often. No one can get me what I want for Christmas, ever. Somebody actually got me what I wanted for Christmas. So for my barrel strength, I'll go with the rye and the barrel strength that actually get me excited. Michter's Toasted Barrel Strength Rye. For me, if there's a product out of Michter's that is worth the money, that is literally worth the money, it's this Michter's Toasted. Not the regular barrel strength, but the Toasted Barrel Strength Rye. So this is for you, Matt. This is my bottle. I don't share with anybody. So Matt, I keep this because I never share with. This is a 2020 edition. Not even gonna pour. Cheers.
Well, this is where the list gets weird, everyone.
This is where it gets fun, right? So I believe Ryan also chose Michter's Toasted Cask Strength Rye. Am I right or am I wrong? You're looking on there. Is that also not what you chose?
You lost?
He's got to go. He's got to go look for the next bottle that he's going to choose now. He sent me a list. I kid you not. I think he's looking for his next bottle here, if I had to guess. That, though, the fact that they deliver that on Christmas Day is just telling you.
This was.
It was meant to be.
It was meant to be. So today I called him my brother, called him my best friend and my brother because he truly was of the first people in the whiskey industry when I started in 2019 that ever got out of their way to find me a bottle that he knew I would really enjoy. And I hold this bottle to a high value. Like when people ask me, like, what is the one bottle that you run out of your house with? I was like, let me run out with this bottle because it means a lot to me. So I only chug it.
Absolutely. Ryan, you're back. What do you got? We got no volume from you. We got no volume.
My internet decided,
go.
hey, in the middle of that thing that you're doing,
Can't even hear
have fun. Bye.
Good
so
luck.
I'm literally connected to my iPhone right now.
Perfect.
Here's the fun part. This is where the list comes into play, right?
I agree.
Because
why can't I hear him?
You can hear him. I can hear him.
I can't hear him.
I'm the only one that can hear me.
No, I can hear you.
I literally cannot hear him.
I can hear Jack.
Can you ask in the chat if people can hear him? Because I cannot hear him.
Can you guys hear him in chat?
I can't even see the chat anymore. Boo.
Somebody said Florida internet strikes again.
It was Matt, probably. What? Yeah, no, never mind.
I literally cannot hear him. Like I can hear you perfectly, but I cannot hear him.
That's weird. He's that. I mean, he's.
Testing.
Oh, he is muted there.
No, I muted and then
Oh, you remuted and then unmuted. Interesting.
What is happening?
Everybody can hear him but you, Jack.
Oh, okay. I don't know why. I literally cannot hear anything he's saying.
Uh-oh.
Jack's like, I would prefer that.
I hear him talking. I see him talking, but I can't hear anything he's saying.
Well, here's the problem. The problem is this was what I picked.
That is true. I have it written down here that you did also pick the Michter's Toasted Rye.
So, if we're gonna go with a story,
Let me
right?
see. Should I get out and come back because I literally cannot hear. Can I hear him?
Jack, can you hear me?
So
all right.
So backup bottle.
Because I will grab a backup bottle because he picked that. And by the way, I do love that was the first one, by the way, that I actually poured myself. Because that is such a great bottle. It is like toasted marshmallow, punch you in the face sweetness, unbelievably good. I'm gonna go ahead and pick a Penelope Cask Strength, but this is batch 10. And the story behind this is this particular bottle
on YouTube. That's the only way I can hear him.
It might be a little delayed.
It's going to be very delayed. This batch 10 to me is special mainly because this bottle here you can't get. I mean, I don't think they make this anymore. There's another batch 10 up there. You don't see how light or how dark this white is or how vibrant this white is. So the batch 10 for me.
Penelope Batch 10 versus Michter's Toasted Barrel Strength, which Ryan also went with originally. This is actually another good one because there is a lot of love for Penelope out there in this chat right now. So I'll be interested to see who chooses what.
Well,
hopefully we can figure out.
Also, one of the first ones that I was ever a part of. So this was I was luckily enough to be a part of their tasting panel for this batch 10 Penelope cask strength. So one of my favorite reasons, or one of my reasons why I like this one so much too.
Two great stories about bottles right there. Tasting panels, Christmas morning deliveries. I mean, I don't really know what else you can really ask for at this point. So the question is, can we get Jack to hear Ryan again, or are we gonna do YouTube for this entire time? That's weird that it just cut out like that for you.
Yeah, like when he turned his camera off, and after that, I couldn't hear anything. After he turned his camera off and back, I could hear him the whole time. And then when he turned his camera off and came back, that was it. I couldn't hear him.
Maybe if he comes back, yeah. I was gonna say maybe if you go out and come back in. That's what happens when you drink bourbon for an hour. Technical difficulties.
Right.
What's
Nothing
the rounds
still?
category? This category is barrel strength or cask strength. It doesn't sound like he can still hear you. Oh, now we lost him altogether.
Yeah, I think he can't. He got out and he's coming back in.
Let's see now.
Oh,
Still nothing. That's weird.
hold on. Maybe it's me.
We're gonna mess with our video here for a little bit, folks.
Testing. 1, 2.
Now
playing
I
it.
can hear you. Now I
Oh
can.
yes, beautiful. He's back.
Now I can hear you. I can hear you now. I can hear you now. You good?
Nice.
All right, we're back, folks. So we have Michter's Toasted. By the way, not only the bottle in this particular one, but the story as well might tear at the strings of some hearts here. We've got a Christmas morning delivery, and then also got to be part of the tasting panel for the batch 10, which is awesome if you ask me. Penelope, again, we've talked about it twice, maybe 3 times now already. The people involved at Penelope just know what they're doing when it comes to the whiskey community.
They're the best people in the world.
They're great people. They know what they have to have their hand on the right thing in the community. Some people can be off-putting in the community, and some people can just know what people want. And I feel like they know what people want when it comes to social media and what these people who have 11,000 or 15,000 Instagram followers are looking for within the community. And I just think they're doing the right thing. Go ahead, Ryan.
They go even further than that, right? Mike and Danny are just genuine dudes, right? They started a company based off of the fact that they just love whiskey. They want to get something going. They go out and they say, well, what are we going to do? And I, in the interview that I had with Mike on Instagram, in the very kind of two years of them in the game, Mike and Danny said to me, I was like, you guys are so transparent. That's a breath of fresh air, especially in the whiskey world, right? And Danny literally looked at me and goes, we didn't know we weren't supposed to. Like, we wanted to be transparent about what we were doing within the industry itself. But they don't just listen to us. They don't listen to the 11,000 followers, the 10,000 followers, the 45,000 followers. They listen to literally everyone.
Everybody.
And I can attest to that as well. Yep, I only have, I'm at like 2,500 on Instagram. I did the Penelope build to Architect, and they didn't upload they have a one pager that they put on their website that describes what they're, and I messaged Ryan, or I messaged Mike, and I said, hey, listen, I got your build 1 up there. I'm comparing it to build 2. You don't have your one pager up yet. And he said, I'm on vacation now. Give me 15 minutes. I'll email it to you. 15 minutes later, I had an email in my inbox of the pager of the Penelope build 2, and that just goes to speak to it. Whatever he's doing wasn't important at the time. He wanted to make sure that everybody had the information that they should have, and it's just, again, one of those things that not a lot of people would go out of their way to do. So it was nice that he did that for me.
Yeah. You just have to have the fun time of being on a call with one of them, especially Mike. Mike is one of those types of people that, we all know with Rosé and Architect and the American Light, and he wants everybody to be able to get those things. He doesn't care if everybody wants them. He just cares that everybody's able to get them. So he even sometimes goes, well, if everybody can't get it, like how do we put it out there? I don't want to make people mad based off of the fact that they just can't get the whiskey. And that's who he is. That's who Danny and him are. And even the rest of their team. Chase is really good. Matt's okay. I mean, he's not the greatest guy in the world, but I mean, he's all right. I mean, He gave Jack a freaking toasted cask strength. Where's mine? Where is mine?
You were late to the game. At that time, you didn't even have an Instagram channel. You're an Instagram
Oh,
channel.
I did. It just wasn't at 5,000. But yes, no, Penelope is great people.
And Penelope right now winning over the Mictors, which is very surprising to me. What
was your? Did you have a backup? Because I had a backup.
Penelope was his backup, I believe.
Penelope was my backup. My actual first one was the same as yours.
Was the Mictors Toasted Cask Strength Rye?
Do you know what my first one was?
E.H. Taylor.
E.H. Taylor Barrel Proof. How did you know?
I saw the can come up like this. No, I'm going to go ahead and say it in the chat right now. If you're not picking this is a great freaking whiskey. Like, oh my God.
It's back to 50-50 now, but there's a lot of love for Penelope, as there should be.
Penelope is, I like to say there's something back home that they say there's what they call the neighborhood kid. The neighborhood kid is loved by all the moms. That's the exemplary kid. All the mom would tell their kid, hey, you see John? You see Johnny? We all like Johnny. All the moms love Johnny. Right? Johnny is this orphan kid that never had any love, but every mom loved Johnny because Johnny just knows that he just needs to do the right thing, and he doesn't care about influence. He doesn't care about being cool. He's just Johnny, and that's Penelope. Penelope's just Penelope.
Yes.
Yeah. So.
Couldn't agree more, and again, couldn't talk more highly about Penelope. Whenever I get to 15,000 and they want to do a barrel pick with me, let me know, guys. Anyway, we're on to number 6 here. Let's move on to a non-Kentucky whiskey. So obviously we're taking a lot of bourbons off the list here because, that's Bourbon Nation out there in Kentucky. So if you go non-Kentucky, I'm excited for these 2 picks as well. I know one of them more than the other, but I also know both of them. Hopefully we don't have another double up here, but now we're on to somebody remind me. I don't even remember at this point. We're on to you, Ryan. Let me just guess. Yeah. Okay,
so,
perfect.
I'm going to tell you a little story first and foremost. When I was a young Instagrammer, a young social media person, and
brother, you got a gray beard. I'm gonna need you to stop saying young Instagrammer.
So I used to absolutely love this group of fellas that did this live on Instagram called Monday Sucks.
You used to, huh? No wonder we don't see you on the show anymore.
So no, I still love these guys that do this Monday Sucks. I guess live would be the best way of putting it. It's a show, okay? And Tim and Jack said a call to arms and said, hey, we're doing this really cool thing. We have this really cool idea. And we're going to send you guys a little bit of a sample blind. And we want to do this online. And I said, I so want to do this. They ended up sending me one, actually one by mistake. And just so happens they sent me one of my absolute favorite whiskeys. And I think Jack knows where I'm going with this because my non-Kentucky is Ardbeg Black committee release.
How many A's? For the poll here?
There's what, 3?
4?
Yeah.
3 or 4?
3 A's. So 3 A's, Ardbeg Black committee release. This is probably, and matter of fact, when I had tasted it from Jack, when he sent the sample, unfortunately, his bottle got stolen from Louisville in front of his, what was it, an Airbnb or something?
An Airbnb, yeah.
An Airbnb, his bottle was stolen because he shipped it to that location, and somebody jacked it off the front porch of the Airbnb. But I had just finished his sample and was like, oh, I know exactly what this is. But I didn't have a bottle anymore. And I found this exact bottle about 7 months later. And I couldn't tear myself away from it. So I purchased it. Yeah, this is a soft flex because Jack and I know the price of this bottle. But this would be my non-Kentucky that I would go to every single day if I could get it literally every day.
Tell the rest of us.
You want to know what
I want to know. I want to know what it's worth.
what it's worth is different than what I bought it for.
Right,
What I
right.
purchased it for was around the $200 price range.
Okay.
I just so happened to walk into one of my local liquor stores. It's probably one of the biggest Scotch providers. That's a local, not a big name, and they have almost every committee release from Ardbeg. So I just went through and I picked up the Scorch. I picked up a couple of other, but the black I have to have. It has to go up on the shelf. So
You know the Trebon 3 is out.
yes, yes, it is. Matter of fact, that same exact location that sells the most amount is doing the Ardbeg barbecue. So that'll be next week.
I wish I could be there because that is I want to do an Ardbeg event.
Oh, the Ardbeg events are going to be so much. They're just
You
they're
know what?
fun.
You remind me. I need to call Cam and say, hey, we should do an Ardbeg barbecue in Nebraska because we are, after all, Omaha Steak.
Oh yeah,
Yeah,
and that place that you went to.
Yes.
Remember when you did that Ardbeg event? I
Oh,
was
yeah,
so
yeah, yeah.
jealous with how many Ardbegs
Oh yeah,
were
they
actually
have
in that place.
they have every Ardbeg all the way back to 20 years.
It's crazy.
On you, Jack.
I'll call Cam tomorrow. What up?
Non-Kentucky.
You know what? I didn't want to be a trader and go outside of America like some people. I didn't just want to, I didn't. When we were talking originally, I thought we were staying in the U.S. Some people just went outside of the U.S. to actually grab stuff. So when it comes to Scotch, I'll be honest, Brian cannot compete with me. But I'm gonna let
Especially
him
in
live.
Marble County. Definitely not.
I'm gonna let him live. I decided when you said non-Kentucky, I just thought you guys meant something that is bourbon, but not in Kentucky. So I decided to go to good old Texas. I went to Texas
I hear the
to
bell
bring
ringing.
out the Balmoral. Garrison Brothers Balmoral, 57.5, 115 proof. The Balmoral Garrison Brothers. Born and bred in High, Texas.
A banger.
Doggy.
An absolute banger of a bottle too.
Doggy.
I have not had. I've had the small batch version of Garrison Brothers, and I have not had any others. And I've heard, just like a lot of other bottles we talked about tonight that I've had, it's the worst of the ones that I've had. And I need to try more from the distillery. And I think a lot of people.
We need to send you some samples because
I have access to some of it, but it's just one of those things, and maybe it's just because
that's another one. That's another one right there. Those podcasts they use to actually do the Garrison Brothers Guadalupe, their finishing port cask. I will tell you right now, dog is it make you know what? It makes me want to switch my hat.
Oh, putting on the Texas hat tonight.
Do it.
Hey, doggy.
There he is.
There's my cowboy hat. I'm having some Garrison Brothers.
I've heard good things about some of the other offerings. It's just one of those things where I always want to start with their small batch or bottom shelf offering before I move up, but I'm starting to learn maybe that's not the way to go.
You want the Guadalupe, the Balmoral, or you want the Honeydew. Those are the three you want.
Those are good ones too.
Those are, for some reason, Texas whiskey can be abrasive, can be too bold.
That's what I kind of got.
Sometime, but I will tell you right now, there's something about the finish of this Texas whiskey that just make you go, oh, that's slowly what it makes you. Those finish are what gives it life.
So so moving from to another Texas whiskey, Balcones. Is that how am I pronouncing that correctly? Is that another one that I should continue to try, or should I just leave that where it's at?
I will tell you right now.
I've had their red label. That's
I was
it.
told I need to be more politically correct. Let me put it this way. I haven't found a balcones I like yet.
Okay.
How about
I
put
feel
it
the same, and I'm okay with that.
That's that's the best one. You know, I've been told I'm getting more recognized in the industry, so I need to start being politically correct. So I haven't found a balcones I like yet.
Okay.
I'm not recognized anywhere. Balcones Rye is actually really good. Look, nobody's going to be too big of a fan of Brimstone, but if you get stuff like their blue and their baby blue, they're they're not bad, right? There's a bunch of Texas whiskey out there other than Garrison Brothers and Balcones. Like, go look up Still
Uh,
Austin. Go get
Milliam
Iron Green.
Green,
Oh
still,
my God,
yeah,
Heather.
Milliam Green and still Austin. Heather,
Mhm.
Heather does an amazing job.
Murdering it,
Yeah,
murdering it. All
Still
of them,
Austin
even
is the
their
one that
Castle.
they're the one with they have an artist that they brought on board for their
Yeah,
labels, correct?
correct. And they have everything from look. I haven't done it yet, but I have a 2 year Still Austin, and for a 2 year bourbon, it is really good.
I think
Uh,
still Austin is still only like I like to call it festival recognized.
yeah,
I'm hoping that being in Texas, you get restricted quite a bit, but still Austin is not investing a lot in marketing yet. I mean, they're new, which makes sense, but they're putting up good whiskey out there so far because I saw them at I was at Cocktails of Cocktails and New Orleans Bourbon Festival. I saw what they're putting up out there, and I have to say, they're doing their part. They
yeah.
definitely are doing their part. They're bringing something good into the industry.
Oh,
Tom says
absolutely.
that Garrison Brothers that Jack picked is coming to Fine Wine and Good Spirits soon. But if you know anything about finewineandgoodspirits.com, when it says coming soon, we have at least 6 to 8 more months before it'll actually hit the stores, and by then it'll probably just be on to the next one at that point. But it's just interesting the way that I don't know how distribution works where you guys are at, but here we do online drops for our quote unquote allocated bottles. So if anything is allocated, which today we had Whistle Pig, I believe, was allocated at $140 and it made it to the online release, and they put out 283 bottles at 10 a.m. and by 2 p.m. there were 282 bottles still available for sale at that price. So it's just one of those things where
Like
here
the
in
regular
Pennsylvania,
whistle pig.
I don't exactly remember. I haven't had any of the. It wasn't the Boss Hog or anything like that. Um, I believe it
Nothing
was the
else
regular.
really special.
Somebody in chat will tell me in a second, but it's just one of those things where Weller 12 popped up there for $45 or $50, and it goes immediately. But then you have Willet Pot still that'll sit on there for 3 or 4 days and stuff like that. So Pennsylvania is an interesting place to be.
Hold on, Willard Pot still is allocated.
In Pennsylvania, it does hit the special release whiskey page. Both the
No,
minis
back,
and the standard
brother,
bottles.
back the fuck.
I'm just don't
Back,
shoot the messenger. I'm just telling you the
back
truth.
up. No, like back the fuck up.
Willet
Did you
Pot
just
Still is
say?
an allocated
Did
whiskey.
you just say that in your state? Let's keep this for the preview of what YouTube is going to see when
This
they
is
try to
this is
watch
the
this
clip right
video.
here.
Back the fuck up. Did you just say Willet Pot Still is in the category of special released bourbon?
100%. Both the mini bottles and the standard bottles.
Somebody, Jesus, be a therapist because I don't know why this will ever happen.
Welcome to Pennsylvania. Ass backwards is a great way to put this state.
That is.
I think it's been there at one point in time everywhere, but Pennsylvania being allocated, or Pennsylvania being one of those wonderful controlled states, that's the way it sometimes goes.
There's the debate which way you want it to be, and again, it's supposed to be okay because you're getting everything at MSRP, but we've talked about it before. Not everything comes out at MSRP, so would competition not help? Perhaps. And I'm on the side of, personally, I'd rather have the opportunity to say no than not have the opportunity to buy it at all. And that's just me. I understand how the secondary market goes, but
Like, how is it that this thing is rigged? How is it that you guys don't like any of the Lagavulin, but yet you guys really must hate Texas?
the Garrison Brothers is losing to the
Garrison Brothers is losing to Ardbeg Black. Like, Ardbeg Black is so special. Like, I don't even think the average person have had Ardbeg Black.
No, and especially the committee release. It's not easy to get your hands on.
Maybe people just don't love the Texas releases.
You know what?
That's what it is.
Yeah.
Ryan, who are you paying in the chat?
Dude, I'm literally connected to this right now. Like, my wife is flipping out downstairs because the internet is not working at all.
Well, I'm glad you got it back up and running for you.
And she's actually working right now.
Oh, well. Priorities, am I right? PA done effed up, Bourbon Jeeper says.
Yeah, she probably just asking herself, how is that your internet is working and hers is not?
He's got the hotspot going.
I'm the technically inclined one, that's the problem.
Tell her to turn her hotspot on and then she can use off that.
Right?
The next category we have is going to be interesting as well, as long as everybody sticks to what they picked earlier at this point. Because this one's going to be, for me, it's a very easy pick, but I know there's a lot of people, a lot of lovers of this particular whiskey out there. And I will talk about my personal experience with this in a second, but we are moving into the single barrel phase. So both of these guys have picked a single barrel. Jack, you changed yours a couple of times. You wanted to flex a little bit on this one.
I did.
And I believe it is your start, if you would like to start with your single barrel pick on...
Didn't I start this time? Didn't I start?
No, he went hard. He went with the black committee.
Okay.
Ardbeg Black.
All right. Because I wanted to keep this game fair, I chose a bottle that was authentically single barrel. So it came as a single barrel, not a barrel pick that somebody picked, an original single barrel. A lot of people would not be able to get this bottle. It's special. I think the next time it's going to be released is going to be next year. It's the only time people are going to see this. And the design is going to be changed according to my conversation with this brand. But it always comes in a single barrel because this person is the knucklehead of the family of the distillery that he belonged to. He sold his brand to his brother for $1, but he gets a lifetime paycheck till the day he passed away. He lost his wife now, and the only way you can see him today is taking an appointment and going to his house where he has a guest book where you have to write your name, age, who you are, and date of birth before you actually go and actually spend time with him. Mr. Baker himself, 13-year single barrel acres from the Beam House. A lot of people cannot claim to have this bottle right here. It's Baker's 13. Everybody have the 7, Baker's 7. This 13-year, the last time you actually see it released will be next year, because the goal is to actually, before Bakers actually get too old to actually release anything, this is going to be the last time he release. He loved bikes. He is a cheeky old man now, and he literally just love having a good time. As you can see here, this is the tag. This is from 2019, and 2013 is going to be the last Bakers that they're going to put out from Baker Beam, who sold
A banger.
his part of the Beam company after his fourth wife passed away. He is the wild child of the Beam family. He's just this great person, and this probably is for me the best single barrel from a distillery ever released, ever.
How many bottles of that have been put out? We know.
It's been 500. I believe it was 4 barrels that were released, so about 600 and something barrel that came out of those single barrels.
And again, I'm a big fan. I feel
One
like
thing,
Jim Beam.
I would tell you the funny thing. What is written behind this box was said by Beam Baker himself. He said, "I spent a good deal of my life up at Claremont, Kentucky, for a time. I even lived in a house right there on the ground. This land has been a home to Jim Beam's spirit for nearly 100 years. Now we make our special small batch bourbon here, carrying the legacy of a fine, handsome bourbon that is part of a family of 6 generations. I'm proud to have my name on this piece of legacy, single barrel whiskey, good enough to drink neat." This man is the original 107. 107 that you know as to be a brand came out before the Weller 107. He's the original 107. So 13-year minimum, he said. Right. But because he didn't want anything more than that. And the reason why he chose 13 is because he always bet on 13 or 7. He's a big gambler.
Okay.
Baker 7 because he always bet on 7, and 13, lucky 13. So for you guys, you have the Baker 7.
The 7.
So for you guys don't know what Baker Beam is, this man became probably somebody that everybody look up to now. But when he was young, and when Beam, his dad, his uncle, and grandfather were out there, he was the knucklehead of the family. No one believed he actually will amount to nothing. And he's the one who actually carried the Beam family during the hard time when they were going through, when most bourbon wasn't selling. He was the first people that thought, hey, let's bring out something great. He even helped Booker know the family the married in to actually come up with Bookers. So he sold acres to Bookers to actually get on his bike and travel through the United States and gamble all around. So Baker 7, lucky 13.
Big fan of Bakers, big fan of Bookers, big fan of Jim Beam in general. I like that nuttiness, and a lot of people don't either. I feel like they either love it or they hate it, or they're somewhere kind of like they don't really know about it. But I love the nuttiness that you get from a Jim Beam and a Baker's, and the 7-year is fantastic. So I can only imagine the 13-year is good. Ryan's shaking his head because again, I feel like it is one of the you don't love the nuttiness.
The top that we see here, this year, hopefully that it goes through. But the top that you see here, the goal is to make it a challenge coin. So when you buy the Baker's 13, the last Baker 13 that will come out, is to actually have the top be a challenge coin that you can pull out. The top is going to be a single barrel, and the Baker's, and the back is going to be his face. You can have as a challenge coin.
That would be cool.
Yeah.
That would be actually pretty cool. I'm pretty sure everybody would line up around the block and be like, Blanton's, no thank you. Give me the Baker's 13.
Give me the Bakers. Let's get that.
No, I don't mind any of the Bakers or Bookers or any of the high cask strength Beam product that are on the market today. The problem that I have with it is I have to have it with a cigar. because with a cigar, the
What a
pairing
terrible
of
problem to have, by the way.
right, it's just it's so horrible that I just finished a Granny's batch because I just it
Big fan
goes
of the
so well
Grannies.
with a cigar.
You
Yep.
want to know?
So-
You want to know the funny thing, Ryan?
I thought you were gonna pick Booker's.
No, I actually will have big Booker's. A Booker is batched. It's not a single barrel.
Right.
It's a
I'm
batch.
thinking cash strength. I'm sorry. I'm thinking the cash strength. I thought you were gonna go
Oh,
Booker's with the cash strength.
For everybody that knows me, if you look up, I've been collecting Bookers all the way from 2013. And if I turn
You're still paying the prices they come out for now. They're almost at $100 here in Pennsylvania.
it's $89 that I'm still
Yeah,
getting
90.
my Bookers, like 99. But I
Good
will
looking
tell you guys
Jordan.
right now, every single Bakers from 2013 I have. And the only Bakers I don't have, the only Bookers I don't have is the Booker Rye. The 30, 25, 15, special 10, and anything from there. I have a couple from Europe. Actually, you guys, for people that do not know, European Bookers looks different than the American Bookers. Oh shit!
He broke it.
It's what it looks. So this is what a Europe Bookers look like. The bottle is even different. If you're actually looking at European Bookers compared to a normal Booker's rye, Booker's bourbon. So
Nice.
So Baker's 13 single barrel versus Ryan. What are you going with on our single barrel here? Round number 7.
Single barrel. As much as I would love to just pick an everyday single barrel, I went with the Elijah Craig lineup of single barrels.
Okay.
So the barrel selects, the private barrels that they have, I mean, I don't know about anybody else, but I've had them from anywhere from 7 years all the way up to, what, 12? And this 10-year that I have here is actually a pretty darn good one. But I've had one locally, they did their pick of their single barrel, and it was so outrageously good. I actually got caught up on a live one time because a sample that they gave me of this bottle was not marked. It literally came to me as like this, like a handshake of a tiny sampling of a bottle. No marking, no nothing. And I tried it live on TikTok, and for about an hour, we tried to figure out where the hell I got it from because I had no idea what it was. It was so unbelievably good. So again, the private selects that I've received out of Elijah Craig or out of Heaven Hill from Elijah Craig has been unbelievable. I have no cool story. That's it. I also have this tiny little grenade that I really like. So
here's where I'm going to come in on Elijah Craig, and I want to know both of your opinions about this real quick. I love Heaven Hill. I almost love exclusively everything Heaven Hill puts out. Elijah Craig for me seems to be one of those things that I don't enjoy, whether it comes down to their small batch, their barrel proofs. Now, I've gotten a few blinds recently. Some of the Patreons in the group have sent me blinds that have included Heaven Hill or have included Elijah Craig barrel proofs, where I've started to be like, okay, I can see how this is good, but it's only been compared to other things in the blind that I didn't truly love to begin with. So it was still only up there at the top of the list because there were other things on the list that I didn't love. I'm just curious if you get the same distinct flavor from an Elijah Craig from Heaven Hill versus other Heaven Hill products.
no.
And if it's something you think it's very similar to a lot of other.
It's so with Heaven Hill, like I said before, you get that musk that goes through a lot of Heaven Hill products. It even travels into some of the like Lux Row products that source from Heaven Hill. That musky tone, that muskiness, you get it in a Henry McKenna. You get it even in their Weeders, their Larcenies, their Old Fitz, their Rittenhouse. You get it literally almost everywhere. I think it has to do with something about being in the Bernheim distillery. So Elijah Craig does not come off with that musky tone. It's more sweeter. It's cherry forward. It has that caramel, that mapleness to it, but a lot less of that muskiness in it. At least that's just for me.
I don't know what it is about again, I'm starting to turn and realize like I maybe enjoyed a little bit more than I did originally. But at some point there was a point where I just thought Elijah Craig barrel proofs and Elijah Craig. Now again, you're talking $50 for the price tag, which is not too bad at all for what you're getting as the offering. But it just seemed like one of those things where I didn't truly love it, and I don't know what it was about it. But
Right.
Baker's 13 single barrel versus Elijah Craig private barrel single barrel, and as of right now, it's early still, but as of right now, we have Baker's 13 coming with the 62% vote,
And
but
rightfully so.
yeah, it's just one of those things. Again, I've never had it myself, but I'd assume that it's a fantastic pour, and I'm assuming most of these people in here have not had it either compared to an Elijah Craig private barrel. We have Elijah Craig single barrels here. We have Elijah Craig barrel proof single barrel. I believe it's a barrel proof as well, correct? The single barrel version of that. Here in Pennsylvania, but we don't have, and then we have the 18-year single barrel. But an interesting matchup indeed. The next one, we have 3 left here. We have craft whiskey, an unknown, and a toasted. And the next matchup is going to be our number 8 matchup, which is going to be craft whiskey, which is very interesting to me because I guess there's no true definition of a craft whiskey, right? Is it under a certain number of barrels produced? Is there any real legal definition of craft? Probably not. But you both came up with 2 picks. Actually, Jack mentioned one of these early on here in the video, which I don't know if anybody or even himself will remember saying it, because it caught my mind because I know one of you picked it. But we'll go with Jack. I believe it's Jack's turn now for this particular round.
Now.
He's so bad at this.
I can't remember
it's
who
Ryan.
went first.
It's Ryan.
We're on to Ryan. Ryan as your which is perfect because Jack mentioned this particular whiskey.
So here's the deal. Jack and I have a really good relationship with this brand, at least to my knowledge. So this brand, and again, I love unique flavors. I love unique finishes. I love just the artisanal feel of some whiskeys that are out there. And again, this is going to be a highly divisive whiskey. But Craft Distillery, $2.91 out of Colorado.
I had to let you have that one.
The story behind it is good. The whiskey itself, whether you hate it or you absolutely love it, I'm a huge fan of it. It's unique. And again, I'm an Isla Scotch drinker. I love the smokiness. I love to sit down, take my time, find the layers of which whiskey can give you, right? This will do all of the above. Matter of fact, this is not the cash strength. You could see here, I'm not a fan of $2.91 at all. I only have a couple bottles, and their 10th anniversary. Matter of fact, they just released the 11. So you can go to the distillery right now in Colorado Springs, go grab yourself an 11 if they still have them available, and then eventually we'll be able to buy them online. Yeah, right. So $2.91 would be my craft distillery that I'm absolutely enamored with.
A bottle I have not tried myself, but now I will definitely put on my hunting list, which is pages long, unfortunately, but we'll get to trying them all eventually. Jack, what are you thinking here? I have not heard of this bottle, and when me and Jack talked about this earlier, he had mentioned the word unpretentious when bringing up any of his bottles in his collections.
It's quite pretentious, right?
Right.
The bottles say unpretentious, not attempting to impress others with an appearance of greater importance, talents, or culture than actually possessed. I'll be remiss if I do not bring out the name Alan Bishop from Benton, right? West Benton Spring in Indiana. Alan Bishop is considered the cabinet alchemist. But the bottle I wanted to come out and show is really a bottle that I know only 350 people have, which according to him, only 210 people have in the world. It's a one-time release, a straight bourbon finished in port wine cask
These was part of the experiment time where Alan wanted to just try something new. He was given the option to do so. That's before even people knew about what Alan was doing at Spirit on French Lick. I believe it was the first ever expression he put out that was his own project that he wanted to work on. And he called it Unpretentious because he knew he's the shit. So if you never heard of Spirit of French Lick, my brother Alan Bishop there is out there killing the game, doing the craziest thing you can think of. This bottle, the reason why I kept it drink just at this level, if you look at it, I still keep it, is because I've tried many times to find another bottle. And they either all went to charity because I think in charity sold up to 3,000 a bottle in charity, or everybody that have opened their bottle and have had it never want to separate from it. Pretentious is respect the grain, double pastille, drink and enjoy. That's Alan Bishop. This bottle here is so special on its own. He have the Matty Gladden. He have all other stuff that he putting out. If you ever find anything from Spiritual French Lick, I would dare you, I would double dog dare you to actually just pick up a bottle. You'll be surprised what you find.
Elise
So when
Sinclair.
it comes to craft distilleries, I believe my brother Alan Bishop is out here doing it for the one time.
Oh
From
yeah.
distilling it to aging it and put it in a bottle. So his tagline is respect the grain.
One of those bottles, and we're going to get into number 9 here in a second, which is the unknown, but that's another one of those unknown bottles for me. I think craft whiskey is really interesting for me because there's a lot of people that started out as craft whiskey and that have now moved into the realm of known whiskey, and they're starting to distribute across the United States, and they're starting to get bigger and known. And I think that's the interesting part, and I think it's kind of the future of whiskey because especially bourbon seems to be blowing up at this point, to the point that we can't just all keep sourcing from MGP. Now we have already mentioned like Penelope, Smoke Wagon, Sagamore already coming out with great MGP product. So there's only so much that you can do with that, with other companies already being out there doing it. So I'm interested to see where the craft distillery goes. And the only thing is the price point, which I understand as a craft distillery, they kind of have to be a little bit higher, but I'm willing to personally spend a little bit more money from a craft distillery, knowing that they're trying to move forward with making older, better product than just keep spending the same money on something from a company that may be making the same bottle over and over again and putting different names on it. Now, and before we move on to the next one, I want to ask, we're going to go back to single barrel here real quick. Somebody asked, or somebody mentioned here earlier, and Jack, I think they actually saw your video at one point where they say, are single barrels really single barrels? Now, this is an interesting question, and we talked about it earlier, and you made a TikTok video about it. So I'm going to call you out right now. And if you want to either recreate that TikTok video or just tell us your opinion on single barrels, feel free.
I will tell you the reason why I actually made that video to us to say, let me put back my educator glass hat on. The reason why I actually said single barrels are not what you think is that you have to understand one thing. The TTB control everything that happens in a distillery, right? Which means that anything that goes on the label, even the Scotch Whiskey Association, even in Scotland, control everything in anything that gets out or has to be on the label. There is no legal term for single barrel. There's none. No legal term, which means that I can write single barrel on the label and not get in trouble for it. There's no legal term for it. So what does that mean? For people like Baker Beam, Henry McKenna, it's about legacy. So when they write single barrel, they mean it, right? They mean it. Now let's talk about brand that rise up about 5 to 6 years ago. Remember, when you say single barrel, you mean there's no additive. There's literally nothing added to it. Entry proof is above that 160 proof, or between that, and it goes in the barrel, out of the barrel. Now, if there's no legal term for it, brands that we can measure, good time, but brands that we can measure out there, actually may or may not add something to that barrel and put it out. You call it single barrel. People are like, oh, we can sue them for saying it's a single barrel. No, you can't. You cannot. Because truthfully, you do not see what happened in the warehouse of a distillery. If somebody's telling you that they have a single barrel for you, you only trust. And again, emphasis on the word trust. You only trust that they are what they say they are, and they have enough integrity and self-respect to put out something that they're calling single barrel. I tell people all the time, there's a difference between single barrel and barrel pick. We have to be clear about that, because even barrel picks can be blended. Shameless plug, all of you guys that follow me, we went to Penelope and we did a barrel pick. That'll be our barrel pick, but it's a blend of 2 single barrels. Right? So you have to actually understand that single barrel pick makes sense, because it's one barrel that we pick, that we know that is that barrel that we pick specifically, that we are calling that single barrel pick. But if somebody just come out and slap on their label that they have a single barrel for you, you do not know what happened in that warehouse. And legally, they're not entitled to tell you if yes or no they put 2 barrels together, they call it single barrel, or they've bashed them together and call it single. You don't know. So since there is no legal term, there's a legal term for proof, there's a legal term for ABV, there's a legal term for bottle and bond, there's a legal term for almost everything, but there's no legal term for single barrel. So if someone jump in and say, I have a single barrel, I say, I hope you know the motherfucker making this shit, because you trust him that it is a single barrel. Otherwise, they can add in a little bit of raspberry or peach flavoring and give you a single barrel peach. Look at my peach, out there with an eggplant emoji with a beautiful sticker and something on top of it, and you think it's a single barrel, but it is not.
That just sounds like a bad time.
Right?
So it really sounds like a bad time. But I just want people to understand that the word single barrel is probably the biggest out there for people to just hear. It just sounds good. It sounds good. You cannot hold anybody to single barrel. Now, there is a legal definition for single cask, because the Scotch Association, the Scotch and Malt Association, have actually made sure there's a specific definition for single cask. So if a Scotch company in Scotland decide that they're going to put out a single cask, they have to account for how long the cask stay, where the cask stay, how many bottles came out of the cask, and after that cask is gone, required legally to tell people that this is a first, a second, or third fill of that cask. But here, there's no requirement. What to say is a single barrel. So the subject of single barrel comes down to the one word, trust. That's it.
Absolutely.
I would say you've heard it here first, but you've heard it here second, because Jack has been preaching this on, I'm sure, multiple social medias for now. So if you want to know more information, multiple platforms, yes. And it's just one of those things where I didn't know myself. I was just out there living my life thinking if it said single barrel, it was single barrel. And now I know to make sure to at least do a little bit more research, or make sure I trust the people involved in the process to know that it's a single barrel. But we're through craft whiskey, which was our number 8. Distillery 291 got a lot of love on that one. I
Yeah.
think because maybe not a lot of people know about the unpretentious, which is going
Yeah.
to lead us right back into number 9 here, which is our unknown. We've got 2 more to go. Our unknown whiskey. Now, this is going to be fun because it's one of those things that maybe you guys can try and hunt for. Maybe you guys can try and find. Maybe it is a craft distillery that you just don't know about yet. But we're going to go with our unknown whiskey. And I'm going to guess Jack. We're on Jack now, right?
Yes.
Beautiful. Look at that.
So on this one, I actually wanted to flex a little bit on
There we go.
because I knew it was Ryan. I actually pulled this bottle specifically because of Ryan. There's 5,129 bottles of this in the world. It only comes out one time a year. And only the people that understand is known to Ryan, but it's not known to most people. It only comes out in one season of the year. That's between the month of July and August, or the month of June and August. It only happened in one place, is in Islay. And it's called the Festival of Islay, and it's based solely on the lunar eclipse in Islay. Allow me to introduce you to. I'll be nice because I have the 2022 as well. I actually decided to be nice and go with the 2021 Islay Festival, Bunnahabhain. This is a 10-year Islay whiskey, non-chill filtered. Festival of Feish Islay is what it's called, Feish Islay. 2021, 5,166 bottle produced in the world. I was aged in a one Bordeaux, This cask is probably the most exquisite cask of Bordeaux ever made in the world. And because they only had access to about 10 average but amount to 500 bottles. 500 bottles. They only have access to 10 butts of this on Bordeaux. 5,000 bottles came out of this. I may or may not own 3 of them. I may finish the first one. This is the second one that I have here.
Small flex.
For all of you guys that don't understand this, the Festival of Islay, and he may actually start drooling about this, released 6 bottles the Festival of Islay. 1 come from Brooklighty, 1 come from Bunnahabhain, 1 come from Lefroy, 1 come from the closed but still functioning Port Charlotte, 1 comes from Coral Island, and actually there's multiple 6 bottles that come out of the festival usually. Only the lucky ones, which means 5,000 people averagely. Some is only 3,000 people that are able to actually say. One come from Lagavulin, which is one of the people he showed you guys. One also come from Ardbeg, are the people that are able to say they have a Festival of Islay. You guys may not know this, but this is actually new to people. That if you are in the Scotch junkie, you will know what a Festival of Islay is. It's like literally spending a week around peat, cask-strength whiskey, and the best cask in the world. Islay population.
Where you go to flex.
Yeah, Islay population is the smallest population in Scotland. When that festival happened for a week during the year, think about a population of about 3,000 people. 1 week out of the year, it become 10,000 people. 1 week out of the year. Think about one bus ruled the place island. So if you miss the bus, you kind of have to wait till they go drop everybody and come back. So I will tell you right now, when it comes to the unknown, I want to tell you, if you are into whiskey, you start dreading and getting into the Scotch a little bit, you need to visit Bunnahabhain.
Yeah, people want to know.
Yeah.
And feel free to not tell us, but what's the price tag on that bad boy?
So I will tell you right now, actually, this bad boy is 259 euros, which is about $320 here.
And that's if you have the opportunity to buy it at all.
If you have the opportunity to buy it, right now it's sold out.
I would tell you if this was about a biggest what they do every year for the Festival of Isla, they pull one of the oldest cask that they own, right? So I have a 1982 cask from Buna Happen. So every year they'll pull one of their oldest casks. This year they've released a 1989 model. Yeah,
Is
the
that what
19.
this is?
And I send you stuff, so you should know. That's what I said. You're a jerk because I send you shit. I wanted you to actually try it, and you actually have not made
Oh, I'm gonna
any.
try it.
Everybody posted about it. You didn't
Sl-
post anything about it because
Slam
you're not.
that.
I
Slam
post
it
when everybody's
now.
posting about it.
Yeah.
Everybody's like, look at this stuff. I'm gonna let it die down a little bit, and then
You
my
gotta
fans
let you bring it right back. Then you
So
bring
I
it back.
actually
To
sent you.
again.
I actually sent you the best thing that I had. One was something I picked myself. I wanted you to try. I picked that. So the 2013 that you have there is right here. I don't share my Isla bottle with a lot of people. I knew you will appreciate this. So Ryan have a sample of it, and if you have it, if you love Isla, you will know exactly what this is about. It's probably the best thing I've ever tasted. My nipples got hard immediately when I had it. I knew somewhere that this is the best scotch that I've ever had.
That's awesome.
That's one thing coming from you, Jack, that I truly believe. Like you're not gonna gaslight or lie about that. That's one, a crazy story. 5,000 bottles produced, and you have 3, maybe 4 of them. And 2, the
I
fact that
already,
it's one of the best
mind
Islas
you,
you've ever
I
had.
finished 2 and I ordered 2 more. And next thing I knew, it wasn't sold out then. So me and my friend Steve Nilsson here, who also is a very island lover, share one. We sat there literally like 2 little girls in this basement. Literally finished half of a bottle. And then he ordered his, and he's like, dude, when I was ordering, they said low stock. Because that day, because of the pandemic, a lot of people didn't go to the festival. So we actually were able to order ours. But this year, I was only able to order 1 bottle. Because by the time I was ordering my bottle, I went back to actually get another bottle and they said sold out. A 5,000 bottle was gone. Gone completely. So if you guys are getting to scotch and literally start loving the peated scotch between June and August, the Festival of Isla, there's one thing you want to get is to be able to put your hand on what is being released out of Isla, because Isla whiskeys are usually not cask strength. If you actually able to get the festival one, it's as authentic as it come, and I'm telling you, it's the paradise for peat lovers.
I think I, like many other bourbon people out there, that especially like the guys that we have in our chat tonight, it's one of those things where scotch just seems like an expensive hobby to get into outside of bourbon. Am I right, or are there scotch whiskeys in there in the affordable range that
I will tell you right now, the funny thing is, Scotch whiskey is actually quite affordable.
okay?
It's very affordable. And people actually, compared to bourbon, I'll actually spend more money on scotch, more time on scotch than bourbon, because actually the average single malt scotch is about $35.
Mhm.
If you somebody already spending on money on high end bourbon, I will tell you that Lagavulin right now, that Lagavulin is what, 99, $89. Yes, but I will tell you, scotch is something I will tell you, when I want to have a rough, a go around night, heavy night, but I don't feel like I'm gonna drink something that the next day I'm gonna have a hangover or anything. I just do single malt the whole night. Guarantee you wake up the next day or a-okay. I go bourbon or I go rye all night. Guarantee I'm gonna have like a hangover the next day.
Yeah, you can get a lot of good scotch out there. Trust me, that is relatively inexpensive in the grand scheme of things. Are you going to buy a good scotch for under $25? Not necessarily. Are you going to get a good scotch, like a good scotch whiskey, around $25 to $35? Yeah, you're going to find some good blends out there. Single malts, I mean, like Jack will have a list of bourbon drinker scotches. You know, if you go out there and you find a Balvenie 14 year, right,
Yep.
the Caribbean cask,
Caribbean
that's going to
cask.
be slowly going away. You're going to be in a good day. You're going to have a good day. If you have the Glenlivet 12 year illicit still, it's going to be a good day. So just this is the thing. Don't immediately think Isla when you're thinking of Scotch, because that's where a lot of people go to. Oh, it's smoky.
Yeah.
It's not smoky. I sent blinds to a devout bourbon lover who was like, I will never drink Scotch ever again. And I sent them 3 unpeated Scotches. And I said, I'm not going to tell you what these whiskeys are. You're just going to tell me what they are, like whether you like them or not. They liked 2 out of the 3. All right. They were not a fan of Brookladdy, but they loved the Glenlivet and they loved the Balvenie. So you just have to try different things. Scotch is to me, when I have a sip of Scotch after drinking bourbon and wheat and rye whiskeys all week, it's like a hug, because that's where I didn't start with Scotch, but when I started with whiskey, I found that I absolutely adored and loved Scotch whiskey. So yeah, you just have to try everything. And I think Jack is a huge proponent of this as well. You have to try multiple things to be able to appreciate multiple things. So
People in the chat are saying, feel free to send me blinds and I'll back that claim up. So
well, hit me
We're
up
on to
on
you-
Instagram or TikTok.
Oh yeah, absolutely. He'll answer you again. Instagram is definitely the place you want to reach out to him personally. TikTok, I know you get some weirdos
Oh, yeah.
on TikTok sending some messages, so definitely
It's
reach
gold.
out on Instagram. That one dude Ryan. But you're on to your unknown number 9 here.
Unknown. My unknown, I went for a label that's unknown. I didn't go for a particular bottle that's unknown.
Only 5,000 of them in the world.
Right. I went for the direct label. So this is, again, my huge draw towards things is going to be craft spirits, craft whiskeys. This is the epitome of craft whiskey. This is made in Waconia. I think I'm saying that right. Waconia, Minnesota. All right. And one of my favorites, I tried this once. I got 3 bottles from a distributor who I'm decent friends with, and he was like, "Look, you just got to try this stuff. Let me know how you feel about it, because I'm thinking about picking this bottle up." And I was like, "You know what? Let's do it." So we sat down, we drank through the lineup, and it was the wheat whiskey, the full wheat whiskey that literally head over heels for. And this is a cash strength pick that they ended up doing with that company, and that's Jay Carver. So Jay Carver out of Minnesota distills all of their spirits. They barrel and bottle. And I don't even want to tell you the year of this. I wish I had enough of this to send to everyone, because I could give this to you and say, how many years do you think this is actually aged? And you'd be surprised. This is not rapid aged. This is just a good overall mouthfeel. It's a good overall flavor coming from that palate. And the nose is effing believable. So yeah, it's literally one of my favorites. Matter of fact, because this barrel pick in particular from the distributor, this barrel pick I got 3 years ago, and I thought I'd never find it again because it's sold. I walked into a liquor store, I want to say about 4 months ago, and I was able to find another bottle of it. And I immediately, like, there was no, it wasn't, how much do you have that for? I go, how many bottles of that do you have? And he's like, that's the last one. I'm like, I'll take it.
Right.
And my wife to this day, I was buying a Starlight cigar batch. And they were like, you're buying a cigar batch and you want this Jay Carver stuff? I'm like, yes, give it to me. Give me.
Yes, please.
Now. Absolutely. So if you see Jay Carver, they have a couple of different things. They have a rye whiskey called Rhinestone. They have a bourbon called Brickyard. And then they have their wheat whiskey. Jay Carver makes some unbelievable spirits, and they're small and unknown, and nobody really gives them the time of day. Go try them out. Go follow them on Instagram. Tell them that Jack sent them.
Tell him Jackson. I feel like that's another thing that we don't talk about enough here in the well, at least me personally, but the craft distilleries that are up and coming, I feel like they have a tough time breaking through, even if
Yes.
they have a great product. So there are some craft distilleries. I have some local distilleries. Pennsylvania is known more for their ryes than their bourbons, but there are a lot of craft distilleries that kind of deserve a shot and kind of deserve the world to know who they are, but they just don't have the means or the opportunity to do so. And I think that's great when like guys like you, that one dude Ryan or Jack Hood Sommelier, where you have this following where that's what it's going to take is somebody like you to tell your followers or to tell the people out there in the world, hey, listen, this isn't the biggest name in the world, but they're out there, they're good, and you've got to try it. So that's the reason I really wanted to put this unknown out there, because and the craft distillery out there as well, because I think there's a lot of opportunity for younger distilleries to really make a name for themselves outside of, again, no hate on Penelope and Sagamore and all that, because I absolutely love it, but outside of sourcing from MGP, because they're making their own younger product and putting out great product themselves.
Absolutely. Like, look, there is never going to be any hatred towards anybody that sources their stuff, right? Or contract distill, sources, whatever you want to say.
Mm-hmm.
We have a few right here in Florida. They make their own stuff right in my local area. Actually, one of them, thankfully, because of the platform that I have, and that's what I'm super happy about, is the platform that I have is starting to, people are starting to notice it. And don't get me wrong, I love it. One of them here in the Tampa Bay area called Florida Cane Distillery. They are very proud of what they do. They always want to bring out a new craft whiskey or a new craft bourbon or a vodka or a rum or anything that they could make in-house. And they're super excited about. They actually invited me out and we actually did our own private barrel. Like, this is, you want to talk about single barrel? This is my distillate that I actually distilled. And they were like, we just want you to come out. We do a distillery school. You come with our master distiller. You learn how to do everything inside of the distillery. Come out and do it. So I walked away with 1 liter of this. I wish I had more. But that's what it's all about, is the craft spirit. It's more so, I'm just here to make money. And it's about, I want to do something that people enjoy and want to try.
Agreed. Absolutely. And I hope that, again, in the future, that a lot of these younger, smaller distilleries start to be able to have the time and the age behind, because we all know at the end of the day, age definitely helps when it comes to a whiskey. That's not like a hidden
Every
gem
whiskey need love and time.
right. And
Every
if
whiskey
you've
needs
only
love
been
and time.
involved in, and I understand why people source at the beginning, because if you go 4, 5, 6 years, it takes a lot of money to sit on 6 years worth of product before you put it out, that you have to end up doing that. So again, these 2 bottles, great bottles. Personally, I couldn't imagine owning one of 5,000, and I also couldn't imagine this J. Carver. Hopefully I can find it one day. But last but not least, now Jack, before we started, talked about doing our oldest bottle in our collection, but I won't put us onto that. We're gonna stick with the number 10, which is our toasted bottle. Now, I'm not the big toasted fan myself. I think there's something about toasting a whiskey and that whole, again, is there a legality behind toasted? Is there a definition behind toasted? Or is it just that second barreling in a heavier charred barrel? It's one of those things I just personally, I'm not the biggest fan of, but I know a lot of people out there are. I know a lot of people love when you give it that toasted flavor, that marshmallow flavor, that extra time in the barrel. So number 10 is going to be our toasted, and we're starting with Jack? We're starting with Ryan.
I'll let Ryan go, because
We'll let
for
Ryan
some
go.
reason I choose the wrong toasted, but I have another toasted.
So
All right.
toasted is my shit.
Is that your go-to?
I love toasted barrels. Now, there is a difference. Now,
Okay.
behind the legality of it all, there is no real legality behind calling it toasted, right? A lot of
Okay.
people consider a double barrel to be a toasted barrel, and it is not. Okay. The difference between a char and a toast is literally noticeable within the cask itself. Okay.
Okay.
You can char the barrel whether it be completely full-blown fast heat and go all the way up to an alligator skin or like a char 4 and what some people would consider to be like a char 5. That is not toasting. Toasting is lightly heating the barrel, bringing out a lot of that wonderful mapley, toasty creaminess of the wood that whiskey is then going to impart after it's been already matured in that charred barrel. The reason why I bring out this toasted barrel is for the only reason this is the whiskey that got me onto that company. Okay. I had the wonderful opportunity of trying it at the beginning of the year from 2018. And when we first got it here in Florida, I was like, I've never even heard of this brand. Who is it with? Like, what is it all about? And somebody sent me a little sample of it. So 2018, and it's still one of my favorites. And it literally made me love the brand completely. Is Blood Oath Pact 4. So this Blood Oath Pact 4 is literally one of my, like, I consider it to be one of my prized possessions because of the sheer fact it wasn't expensive. It's like $125. But, well, for some, that's not expensive. Sorry, in case it is. But Blood Oath Pact 4, to me, was one of my favorite toasted barrels. It brought everything that I wanted at a toasted barrel, and it also allowed me to enjoy dryness with the bourbon, with the whiskey involved within it. It wasn't just like a standard Elijah Craig toasted where it was just marshmallowy, or no offense to Penelope, because I absolutely love their toasted as well. Their char 5 heavy toast is probably by far one of the other better toasted barrels on the market today. But Blood Oath Pact 4 to me is just the antithesis. The antithesis, is that the right word to use?
You're using words that I don't know, so
I'm bad at this.
English is tough.
Right, words. Am I right? It's one of my favorites. And not only that, but like it has a toasted freaking box. Like,
so here's my question, and this is just coming from my personal experience. This is the 2018 release of Blood Oath. What are your feelings since then? Because I'm assuming you've tried, after you've loved that so much, there's no reason you haven't tried the next ones. What are your feelings on 2019, 2020, 2021, and 22 that are sitting?
Good question, because I always told I told Ryan on his TikTok and on his TikTok of the review of the 2022, I believe, Blood Oath.
Yeah, the Pact 8.
Yeah, the Pact 8. I told you. I wrote under that. I said,
you have some behind you as well, Jack. I see them.
Yeah, I said I'm usually always on the same path as you. Your review on this one for me was I don't agree.
So here's the thing with Calvados. I love it. I don't know what it is about a Calvados finish. Like, so I've had multiple Calvados finished whiskeys. I even have the Sagamore Calvados finish, and I like it. I don't know what it is about it. It's the quick punch of sweet and then the immediate dryness that comes right after it. That's what I particularly like about a Calvados finish. Now, will I say that it's the best Blood Oath that I've had thus far? Absolutely not. I think six is one of the better ones. You have 5 that is really good. 8 will fit somewhere in that mix. So for me, for Blood Oath, because I have not, and I'll be completely honest, I have not had 1, 2, or 3. I'm still looking for 1, 2, or 3, by the way. Anybody that can help me out for
anybody out there, feel free to hit them up.
Hit me up. Call me. Call your boy. Okay. 1, 2, and 3 I need. But 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8, I would probably respectively put them in 6, 8, 6, 8, 4, 5, 7.
What do I even have here? Let me see.
All of them. You probably have all of them.
The only thing
all of them lined up.
And the only thing I'm missing is the 1.
but I believe, I seriously believe 2019, 2020, 2018, right? 17, 18. I will tell you right now.
I actually fought with a woman at Lux Row.
What is
Allegedly.
They
What
had
is-
the. I didn't like fist fight.
Okay.
But she had the 1, 2, and 3. They have it up behind the bar.
They
So
have
you go to
the
Lux Row.
like they have
But-
they used to sell that, correct? Like the 1, 2, and
The
3
pack.
in a pack,
Yes.
right?
So they have the packed 1, 2, and 3 behind the bar up in the open. Now they have 4, 5, and 6 up there as well. So 1, 2, and 3 is up there in a box with like all that, whatever you call it, hay. I don't know what
Yeah.
it's called. Anyway, so I said to her, I go, is there any more of those? And she goes, no. And I go, well, then
How much for that?
Can I buy that? And she goes, absolutely not. It's the only one left. And I go,
So
I don't care. What can I
Yeah.
can I give you for that?
How
Like,
much?
the rental car that we drove up here is a Chevy Traverse. I'm sure that's worth 20. Like at easy 20.
This
You
is
want
yours
that?
now.
You can have it. And she was like, absolutely not. If you'd like, go get some double barrel in the gift, whatever you call it, gift shop. And I was like, okay, I'll grab it.
Yeah. There it is.
That's a great bourbon, by the way. Anybody that gets an
I
opportunity,
believe.
will be your double barrel.
So I don't have 1 or 2. So I don't have 1 or 2. So I started with 3. Right?
Mm,
But I had 2 in a handshake before. So I'll tell you one thing. There's something to be said about innovation. Right? There's something to be said about evolving. And when I am unimpressed or underwhelmed by what you're doing, there's a saying in French, c'est qui n'avance pas recule. And who doesn't go forward is definitely going behind. Meaning, there is this comfort zone now, this adult, that makes it almost lazy, makes it too common, makes it underwhelming, almost unimpressive. Because somewhere, there's only so much you can do. Understand that they have to maintain a certain proof because that's the blood temperature to keep, because the proof is the same for all of it. Somewhere around the line, you have to impress me somehow. You have to get me out of my common thing. You're changing cask every year. Good for you. But what makes the flavor profile so special, so different? Is it just another boring ass whiskey that you're coming out with? And that's where I stand. For me, Blood Oath, after 4-5 years of giving us something that is okay, rum cask, great. It's a turn, great. Cabernet Sauvignon, great. You're doing all the things that every other whiskey out there have done. But what is new? What is it? What are you? It feel like a badass, boring marriage. Like, what are you gonna do? You're gonna do this move and this move? Okay, yeah, I've seen that during the years. Good for you. Anything that you're gonna show me that's gonna impress me, but you're gonna charge me more for it? Great. And every year you are increasing the price, and every year you come up with the same boring ass box, right? And it's like, okay, we got this box right now. God forbid we actually surprise you with something interesting, but the box. There you go. And I've used a new cask. Hey. So I was seriously, And this is just out of love for them, because obviously I have a bunch of them behind me. Out of love for them is stop boring the shit out of me. Stop being boring. Do something that will actually make me go, oh shit. I just want an oh shit of you. Was okay. Okay doesn't cut it anymore. I'm gonna spend this money on this. Let me go grab a Tokai. Let me go grab something else. Because as a consumer, I have enough brand that are actually hollering at me to get their shit. I don't need you to give me boring or lukewarm. Remind me of, excuse my French, but they remind me of lowly oatmeal. Oatmeal is fucking oatmeal. That's it. It's oatmeal. Don't be boring. Don't be oatmeal. Give me a zing sometime. Put some paprika in, cinnamon, something. Excite the shit out of me. But my asshole right now is not excited about any blood oat. So 2022 is the one I did not pick up. 2021 I just stopped. I'm like, I've done my part. It's been 6 years of following what you're doing. You are now the boring ass wife of the house that wear her wig and her bonnet and just sit in the house and hope that she's still beautiful.
And Ryan, I haven't had. That's why I kind of asked where you picked the 2018 version. I kind of asked where you thought it had went since then, and I hadn't had the 2018. I had the 2021, I believe, and yeah. I wasn't greatly impressed by it at the price point, which is why I asked where do you think it went since 2018?
Yeah, well, that's a deal. The deal with it was, and in 2017, and even I would sit here and say, the 2021 version, Pack 7, was okay. I think everybody roundly said it was just okay. Pact 8 brings that back. In my opinion, it brings it back. It's, in my opinion, better than a 5. It's not, I can't say. I have a very, how do I put it? A very personal attraction to Pact 4. So Pact 4 is definitely going to go before the 8. But I love 8. 8 is good stuff. Pact 7 was okay, right? In the grand scheme. Now, I'm not saying it's bad whiskey. We're talking about very small. We're talking about inches, not miles here, right? We're talking about very small, intricate little bits about it. Notes in that. For me, Blood Oath always comes out every single year trying to be better than it was last year. And the year before last, Pack 7 did miss the mark 100%. It wasn't my favorite out of 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. But I think John Rempe is doing a great job at going out, finding what he needs to find, putting all of these multiple year barrels together, finishing them as best as he possibly can, and getting it out there. I mean, we all fucking go head over heels for a mesquite finish from Old Forester, or a toasted barrel from some big name company out there. I mean, fucking E.H. Taylor puts out a Warehouse C where all E.H. Taylor is literally matured, and every tater goes out there and tries to find it. But John Rempe, being a craft distiller, we're going to say Pack 7 was shit. I'm not going to fuck with Pack 8. Like, everybody goes out there to find an E.H. Taylor. Like, to me, it's the experience behind it. And granted, it is a little bit of the, I love that in particular because it's one of the whiskeys that I know for a fact a lot of people don't give a shit about. It's one of those brands that people don't go, ooh, I have to have. Because they'd rather fight the label or sit in line for a couple of hours for a label than to worry about a Blood Oath. Now Blood Oath is at that level. And by all means, you can drive from Jacksonville to Tampa to get a Pact 8. Good for you. But it will get to a point where Pact or Blood Oath will become less desirable to some people I still think it's going to be the people that just have a somewhat. I love the brand. I love the idea behind it. I love the feeling of the packs that make it what people want. So that's just me personally. But hey, I'm not going to deny Pack 7 was kind of a letdown. Was 100% a letdown. Where did he go? He disappeared. He went to the bathroom.
Had to pee.
Right?
Everybody needs to pee.
Like it's like this has been one of those things where it's like, hey, we're gonna be here for about an hour or so.
And then next thing you
And then it
know,
becomes too much fun. Like why?
we it's 9 o'clock now at my time, and we are
Oh,
still
9 o'clock your time? Lucky you. Oh, look who's back.
But
Wait. Here we go.
Now he's
I
muted.
did have to pee. So here's the question though. We're back on Toasted, and we do have the Blood Oath Pack 4. But Jack, what is your pick for the Toasted barrel?
You know what? May have had too much. So
You picked. Hold on, Jack. In my pick here, you had Michter's Barrel Strength Toasted for your.
That's my
your
toasted,
barrel.
right? Yeah,
But you
switched.
switched that to your barrel strength because you stole that from Ryan earlier.
Yeah, because it was supposed to be the EHL of barrel strength, but we will still stay in the same family of the toasted, and tell you that there's two bottles that I would say that are toasted that I like. That's Penelope toasted. But Penelope doesn't like any love around here. But one of the toasted that for the first time was low proof, right? It's only 86 proof. That actually impressed me was a 2019 Michter's Toasted. 2019 Michter's Toasted was probably one of those toasted barrel that first ever toasted bottle that I actually had, and I'm like, this is not bad. 2019 Michter's. Now I will tell you, I like this better than the 2021 Barrel Strength Toasted. No, Barrel Strength Toasted of last year was amazing. If I want to have something, someone come to me and say, I don't like whiskey so much. I just want something. I don't want much alcohol. Something just small. 43 proof, 86% alcohol. It's toasted, it's creamy, vanilla. Little, guess what? It's not a fight. Just have a little bit of this. Be just fine. So,
The question that I have is what is a laurel? Does anybody know what a laurel is?
what?
A laurel? Like resting on their laurel.
Yes.
Because I feel like that's what Michter's does.
You know what? No, I would tell you what Michter does. So, three things I had to learn about Michter's that a lot of people do not know. First, the people that own Michter's are mostly lawyers. That's one. So everything have to be legally to the T. Two, no, one of the owners is a germophobic, which means that it's probably the cleanest distillery of all. Three, perfection is what they go for. I mean perfection. So when an employee of the place hand me 13-year-old whiskey he have in a low bottle himself, it says we did not meet our quality control, so they had to dump it. We just share a little bit of it and they dump the rest. Victor's dumped the most whiskey out of anybody. If it does not meet the same requirement as it needs to be, they will not put it out. One thing you need to understand is that when you're having mixers, you can say whatever the fuck you want in this world. One thing for sure is it's gonna be exactly consistent every freaking time. Exactly what it is. Now, which mixers do I have the most problem with? 10-year bullshit they always come out with. 10-year mixers, bio bourbon, it's good. Is it really needed? Not barrel strength. It's not nothing. It's just good whiskey. It's not crazy. For the price, I hate it. When they come up with their expression of the barrel strength, toasted barrel strength, rye, even this toasted, I love it because those proof are all different. The regular expression is like a robot made it. If you really want to have fun at mixers, go to mixers. Because those barrels that they put out every 3 days, because that's how much people actually want to come and bottle their own mixers. Barrel that they put out every 3 days, that is the say the golden egg. The golden goose egg of mixers is there. But what comes out because of the legality, OCD and the germophobia have to be exactly perfect to the T every time. Number one, quality control, perfection in the whiskey industry is from there. So you have to understand that they're not resting on their Lord that likes something different. For one thing to change, has to go through all the channels to change. If it almost like if it ain't broke, don't fix it. If it's broke, and if it's broke a little bit, guess what? There's only two ways that happen. Either is in the come and barrel your bottle, you take that with you, that's one of a kind, and you go, or dump it. We'll make another one.
There's no shame in it. There's no shame in it. Like I said, Porsche, a great car company. Everybody loves them. Well, I won't say everybody loves them, but most people love them. They've had the same design person for 112 years. Like, there's nothing changing with Porsche. Same thing with Michter's. Each year, it's going to be a special release of barrel proof. It's going to be a special release of a toasted. It's going to be a special release of something. And I'm not saying it's not good.
And the toasted only came out like 3 years ago. They didn't even have the toasted in the thing. Mind you, for them, that was like a big deal.
Oh, yeah. Absolutely. Absolutely. I can't wait for them to come out with a Calvados finish or a rum finish.
Oh, no.
Or anything else. Right. They won't.
That's
because they know what they're good at. They'll come out with Shanks with 1,200 bottles. Yeah. They'll come out with a Bombergers at 900.
You know why?
He's grabbing the Shanks.
Remember this germophobia thing I'm saying?
Absolutely.
Guess what? It's not gonna be an outside barrel. It's coming into mixers. That's not going to happen. What they would do is as a matter of fact, heard this through the grapevine, as if a mixer's barrel is sold to other people, right? If the mixer's barrel is sold to other people, you know what they do? They black out the front of the barrel. So you would not know that it came from mixers.
That's smart.
That's an NDA. That's because they're
an NDA, but remember, lawyers, right? Hypochondriac, perfection. When those three things come together, you will not see change happening at the craziest level.
Absolutely.
We have a lot of people in chat talking about how much knowledge between the two of you. And again, if you're not following these guys, that one dude Ryan on Instagram and TikTok and Hood _ correct? There's an underscore in there. Hood _ Salamalier. Please check him out as well on Instagram and TikTok. And I believe, Ryan, you're also trying to put out long form content now on YouTube as well, correct?
Trying to. Like, I'm terrible at it. I'm not even gonna lie. I'm not as good as you two.
It's one of those things where long form content, I started on long form content and I actually tried to switch towards the short form content, which I felt like was a hard transition, but I can only imagine the other way as well. So Hood_sommelier, that one dude Ryan, great names for both of them, by the way. That one dude Ryan, just that name made me laugh. You put out a TikTok at one point where somebody asked, why that name? And you're like, because somebody asked me, are you that one dude Ryan? And you're just like, yep, that's me. I'm that one dude Ryan. Right.
Look, we have a bunch of people that are online right now, right? A bunch of people that are, no offense, Bourbon of the Week, or, whiskey dad, father, brown water
14.
Time. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Brown water time.
Something that's whiskey related.
Time. Yep.
And I'm like, I don't want something that's super whiskey related. I want something that is more relatable, something that's a little bit wide open, and also it's kind of a fucking joke. Like, I just need to let everybody know, like, my whole entire existence is kind of biting my thumb at the snobbery that can become a lot of other things. Because whiskey has kind of been that, and that's why you'll see me on TikTok constantly fucking with the trolls.
Well, you're an OG, so
like oh my god,
you guys are OGs. You guys are TikTok OGs,
another word
right?
he fucking hates.
100% not. I'm loving. I love to talk to everybody. I love to engage. I love the community. I don't give a shit about followers. I don't care about anything other than if you have a question, hit me up on Instagram, man. I got DMs. You don't even have to follow me. Just hit me up in the DMs. We'll have a conversation. We'll talk. There's not a single person on this planet that could say, I've hit Ryan up in his direct messages on Instagram and he didn't reply to me. Unless your name is like that cutie babe and you're just saying hello. And when I click on your profile, it's a bunch of 4X crap.
Well, just send it to mine.
Want to communicate with people. Yeah, I just want to talk with people. Look, my wife cannot stand me talking about whiskey all the time. So that's why I do this kind of stuff.
And you are live, correct me if I'm wrong, every Tuesday on
every
TikTok?
Every Tuesday because I respect Jack and Tim.
Bourbon
I love Monday Sucks.
Bourbon to me.
Talk whiskey to me. No.
Talk whiskey to me. Jack, you are live on Mondays, correct?
On Mondays, we are live on YouTube, Facebook, Instagram. And what do? We literally walk in and we say, Mondays sucks. So come here and let's chat.
So Mondays, if you want to talk, come over and hang out with Jack. Tuesdays, if you want to talk, you've got that one dude Ryan to talk to. So again, check them both out. I'm sure if you're following me, you are already following these two because again, they are top 20 whiskey influencers to follow, which I'm sure they both
Ryan
love that
was
name.
top of the list, so make sure you mention
you
him.
love that name, hearing whiskey influencer. Am I right?
I had less followers than Jack. That's why I'm at the top of the list.
15,000 and 11,000. I appreciate both of these gentlemen being on my channel tonight because I'll be honest with you, when I first joined and I first started this, both of them were two people that I followed immediately and I've been following for a long time now. And I like to think at this point, we have become friends. I hope at this point we can call each other that. So,
that's why I said yes. Otherwise, I'll be like, fuck off.
I would hope so. And I'm gonna ask Jack one time. Show me one bottle if you were to flex to anybody in the world. Who's your one? What's your one bottle you would flex with? I'm gonna ask. You have somebody comes up to you and they say, "Show me the most impressive bottle in your collection." Before we sign off here,
Jack.
The question is going to be in which category?
No category. Open air.
In every category, I have a bottle specifically in every category that I can flex with.
Your favorite category to flex? I'm leaving it open. I'm leaving it open-ended question. Because
I'm flexing by showing you my microphone right now. So I
will tell you the exact number that this man told me of bottles that he had. But I will put it in the thousands, multiple thousands of bottles. So
that's why I said I'm losing tonight, and I am okay with that because I get to sit here with Jack and you.
Ryan, I'll be honest with you. I circled winners from the beginning, and it might not be as bad as you thought.
No,
you don't want to know. This is everybody gets a participation trophy.
That's true. Everybody's got a winner. Jack, your number one bottle.
I would, you know, it is hard to choose one.
Blanton's.
But I would tell you right
Straight from
now,
the barrel.
I love Blanton straight from the barrel, but have you seen one from Greece?
I have not personally. No.
Let me show you. I'll show you something cool.
If he shows you Greece, I'll show you Mexico.
Blanton straight from the barrel, Mexico?
Well, no.
Oh.
Just a Mexican whiskey. I don't know what he's talking
Okay.
about.
He said he has Blanton straight from the barrel from Greece.
Greece.
I have a Blanton's single barrel, if anybody's heard of it.
If anybody ever seen this Blanton's,
It tastes like bankruptcy.
Right? Great bottle. It's a great bottle. And
Talk about taters represent. Here we go.
yeah.
We're about to make a lot of people angry right here.
So this Blanton's here is kind of cool because it comes in also a darker bag than the regular bag that you have.
What's the letter on the horse?
The letter is an N.
In case anybody's interested. Oh, blue.
Beautiful.
This actually, believe it or not, is kind of odd because this was a 2019 release. Is not from the US. It's still the warehouse age. This is the only one that they release. That is the gray Clintons, but still have the same proof. It wasn't straight from the barrel. But it's one of those rare. I have another one that is from Greece as well. It's back there, but I have a 1992 Takara Red from Japan. The blend.
Yeah, absolutely amazing.
I will tell you right now, I don't know what, when we say flexing, is it value of a bottle or age of a bottle, really? But when it comes to Scotch, Ryan, you will love this one. I have, you know, the brand Dimple.
Absolutely. Who doesn't?
Right? One of the oldest brand from Scotland. I have a 1947 Dimple.
Nice.
It's old as hell. It's not common for the average person to find. But it was this auction in Edinburgh, and I just thought it was the funniest thing to actually grab. The 1947 $1, I have to put it in a safe. This one
Has to put it in a safe. He has a safe for his whiskey.
I do have a safe for anything that is over.
I put my social security card and my birth certificate. This man's putting whiskey in there.
Keep that in the car. Is that not a place to put it?
This is a 1970.
The whiskey or the birth certificate?
Birth certificate.
And this is a Dimple.
Oh.
1970.
We did talk about, Jack asked me before, he said, why didn't you do an oldest bottle? And I said, because I didn't think about it until now. But you have a 1970, you also have a 1968 of something,
1969 Glenfiddich.
69.
I have a 1969 family Glenfiddich.
What's your oldest bottle, Ryan?
I think like a 99.
I think I have like a 2021 of...
I have a 99 Old Ezra 7 that's still unopened.
There's a couple people out there that are real big into the old school bottles.
Beautiful. Oh yeah.
Glenfiddichs.
Nice.
Kevin
Minnick, who is vintage whiskey dude over on TikTok. He loves them. Those are gorgeous Glenfiddichs.
Yeah, it kept the original tent, the original back of the drop, as you can see, and the original plasticware and everything. These all came from the auction of La Maison du Whiskey. Wanted to get rid of some of the older vintage, and I had the chance to get them from La Maison du Whiskey. They were cleaning up the warehouse.
Honestly, surprised you have a stolen 11 behind you.
What?
Stolen whiskey 11 up behind you.
No. This is the top. There is my wall of shame.
Look, I'm not gonna lie to you. I absolutely hate, and I don't know because I have no internet at this point in time. I'm connected to my Wi-Fi on my phone. I have a bottle of Stolen X.
Okay.
And the story behind it is I went to Texas and somebody was like, you have to try this. It's something new. They poured it. And I was like, this isn't that bad. It's like a cocktail in a bottle. And that's exactly what it is. Stolen X. It's a rock and rye.
So I would definitely say that if I had to flex today because my opponent is Ryan, this is going to be my biggest flex bottle today on Ryan because I know Ryan will start drooling when he sees this.
Here we go.
2015 Cask Strength Edition, oldest annual release, matured in Oloroso barrel, aged 25 years. Freud, 25.
And that bottle runs $12, $15? Under 25?
Absolutely.
Originally, it's a 25-year. Originally, when I bought this bottle back in 2019, it comes with its own certificate, by the way.
It should.
Because,
As I was going to say, as it should.
because you own, normally everybody own 1/10th of an acre, right? Small 1/100th of an acre when you have this, but when you buy this one, they give you an additional one.
So you own 2 acres.
But 2 of them. This is my certificate of authenticity of my 25th year from Lafroy.
See, this is where Jack and I can geek out on this kind of thing. Everybody in the comments is like,
I'm like, what are we talking about at this
And,
point?
what's this Scottish
And
shit?
and the funny thing
What
thing
is
here,
scotch anyway?
originally when I grabbed this bottle, I paid $410 for it, and I thought I was flexing then.
That's a
You
steal,
paid
right?
how much? Wait.
$410
What was that?
for it.
Did you say
Right.
410?
410.
410. It was 389 euros. And I literally bought it then, and I thought I was flexing then. I'm flexing then.
Do you know how much
Today-
you can get at an auction for that right now?
Yeah, today
12
this
grand.
this is worth at least the base model $1,200. That's the base model.
That's crazy.
The least amount.
Yeah.
Holy shit.
But
Yeah,
John-
I have nothing like that.
The
So-
price actually went up because John Campbell is no longer with them.
Right?
The price
He walked
jumped.
away.
But
He
if we
retired.
have to
I'm
talk
done.
about most sought after bottle, let me move this thing before I show you guys because I want Brian to actually cry when Ryan to cry when I
I'm
actually show
I'm
this
not.
bottle.
We don't
It
want to cry.
depends on the bottle.
Ryan's
Well,
crying.
It depends on the bottle. Watch this.
Because
He pulls out another Lafroig. I'm gonna be like, that's not it. I'm not gonna cry for that.
this was offered to me by someone that I actually was able to get
Offered.
life insurance
Offered.
policy on.
Keywords.
Offered.
Yes. It's
Nah,
the
I'm not crazy.
Macallan Sir Peter Blake.
Okay, that's a good bottle. It's a good whiskey,
It is even a better whiskey.
but I'm not
So
crying.
not the bottle. It's the even better whiskey because when it comes to what Macallan's supposed to taste like, it's right here.
It's what Macallan is supposed to taste like. Right.
Supposed to
It's
taste
like if you've had the 12 and all that, the 18 year, no,
This
that's what Macallan is.
Peter Blake is where.
Like, oh, I have a Macallan M. That's not a flex. That's just you spent a shit ton of money on no
It's
reason
stupid amount of money
altogether.
for no reason.
Then you
At
have to
this
let me know.
point, by
I
the way,
don't know-
chat, we're talking about things that I have no clue.
Ryan,
and that's fine.
Our friends,
Look.
you need to have friends like me.
What's up, Hoser?
Ooh, that's nice. Not just the box; it's just nice in general. Bunnahaven.
20,
Mm.
25 year.
Jack did say before we started tonight he was going to flex at the end on not because he didn't want to flex on his friends. He wanted to just flex. So we're doing that right now.
This is the best. Is this the first one, by the way? Whiskey Verzuz.
Oh yeah, this is our first. This is our
Oh
first go
shit!
through.
So Jack, we are the first Whiskey Versus. The
Yes.
beautiful thing is this: Jack and I are buddies.
Right.
Like this is probably the first one to be good that we're doing it together.
Yeah.
100%.
I 100% respect what Jack does on a day-to-day basis. He is like just for Scotch wise, like I want to go to his house and just live
You should come.
in
You
his
should come.
basement.
You should come because the funny thing here is that I'll tell you right now, I had a few people that are distillery owners, our brand ambassadors. When they sat in my basement, they said, I'm glad I don't have to talk about my whiskey. I'm glad I can learn from you.
Right.
Absolutely.
You are
That's crazy.
opening my world. You're opening my world to something that I'm not privy to. Because most people would just put me in a box, and then when you come to my basement, you're like, "Oh yeah, you want to do gin? Let's do gin. You want to do cognac, Armagnac? Sure, let's jump into France and do some cognac and Armagnac. Oh no, you don't want to do that? Oh, let's go to Scotland. Let's do a little bit of Scotch school, learn about something. And if you really don't want that, hey, let me show you the crazy bourbon that I actually hold around here that are not your bourbon. Let's take your palate on an adventure. That doesn't happen often because everybody that comes to your house is like, you serving the same bullshit. No, let's go on an adventure. Going on a trip in
Let's
an
put
On
some-
your favorite rocket. Yep. There we
Get
go,
some
baby.
vodka in our system, right? No, I'm joking.
Oh, there it is.
Here is here it is. Sorry. It's different.
It's up there.
what
It's over for
where
you.
we're
up for
seeing
us.
it, it's completely different.
I
Jack
moved
is-
everybody around, so you guys were next to each other.
Here's a wonderful question that I want to know. All right. Jack's gonna hate me for this because this is something that I love. Do you think that the islands in Scotland deserve their own region?
Yes,
See, this is why I like you so much.
I do.
Islands there needs to be a sixth. There needs to be 6 regions
It should be.
in Scotch.
Orkney,
Because
the
island
When
Orkney
we're
region-
talking about liquor, we're talking about the liquor side of things. When we're talking about
We're talking about Scotch. So
Gotcha.
Scotch has 5 designations, let's say. Okay. And
Yeah.
they're very proud. Scotland is very proud of their designations. They're where they're from, whether it be the Highlands, Speyside, Isla, Lowlands, Campbelltown, whatever the case may be. Islands needs their own region, whether it's Jura or even Highland Park deserves to be a part of that
something
island.
that Orkney region right there, where it has, that's where Lord Fire is from. Because no one talks about that part.
Really?
Scapa, Island Park, all those things that come from that little
hashtag
region
6
there.
islands.
Hashtag 6
Yeah,
Island.
6 Islands. And I know a lot of people have been pushing for
Fucking
that.
love Scapa.
And I tell you, all I'm gonna say, Ryan, is you will probably sleep in my basement and be a happy man. Because
Yeah.
you will
I'm
not-
sure he
you
will
not-
fall asleep very
you will
quickly
not-
too.
Yeah, you will not stop discovering, because I will tell you right now.
Sleep or pass out.
I've been
Both.
doing
Both.
I've been doing single malt. The even fun part is single malt from around the world. India. Taiwan,
Yes.
Japan. I'm telling you are gonna be, the shock is how single malt, how certain whiskey work from around the world. People never actually really pay attention to that, but life doesn't stop in America. It really doesn't. Whiskey
doesn't.
is a vast world. I traveled to Ireland last year in December, and I was bamboozled. Triple distill, double distill, 1 grain, blended grain, single malt, single grain. Your brain is gonna fry if you actually want to know all of it. So
But
Jack Ryan, I'm gonna don't get off by any means. I'm gonna end this live here real quick. We're gonna go back to the Discord and hang out there for a little bit. But with Patreons, anybody in Patreon, we're gonna go back into the Patreon group real quick. So if anybody's still up, Dave, Woodsy, a couple of these guys are still on Patreon here right now. Come join us in the Discord on Patreon. You're more than welcome. I'm gonna end this live stream right now just because it's getting real late and a lot of these people don't want to be hanging out this late. So Jack, I want to hear a couple more things about you, and Ryan, I have a couple more questions for you as well. So we're going to end this live stream right here. We're going to go back to the Patreon live stream. Check us out on Patreon at Bourbon of the Week. Check out that one dude, Ryan. I promise you, him and Jack, Hood Sommelier, Hood_Sommelier, you're not going to be disappointed. I promise you, if you're already following me, you're probably following them. But if you're not, check out those links in the description below, and